The Bears finally found their long-lost defensive pressure against the KC Chiefs. Everybody got in the act to force the turnovers, like this fumble recovery by Jim Osborne that told the story in Chicago's upset overtime win. And how about rookie linebacker Mike Singletary with this shattering hit to key the Bears' defensive turnaround. Meanwhile, the Packers have won 2 in a row, and last week they did it against the Giants with plays like this: Estes Hood's interception and touchdown, one of 7 turnovers forced by Green Bay. The Pack's defense rose to the occasion. Today, Green Bay's quarterback pendulum swings to David Whitehurst, who may be looking extra hard to John Jefferson. So Chicago meets Green Bay once more. It all began in 1921, and it's still going strong.
CBS Sports presents the National Football League. Today, the Chicago Bears against the Green Bay Packers.
Welcome to the 125th renewal of the oldest continuous rivalry in the National Football League, the Bears and Packers. And good afternoon, everyone. A beautiful day for football. I'm Dick Stockton, and this is Johnny Morris. So David Whitehurst gets the call for the Packers. What does it mean for them, John?
Well, it does mean they'll have a more mobile quarterback. As you know, Lynn Dickey is banged up. David Whitehurst has come on very strong the last 2 or 3 games in relief. Was 4 for 4 last week against the Giants as Green Bay rallied to win that game. So it's a big chance for David Whitehurst.
Now, the Chicago Bears like to change up their defenses. They have a lot of different combinations. What will that mean for them and for Whitehurst?
Well, I think it's going to be a real test for Whitehurst. In fact, that's going to be the story of this football game. David Whitehurst has to defense and go against a 5-6 defense, a 5-1-5 defense, a 4-3 defense, all kinds of variations that the Chicago Bears use. And how well he handles that job is going to be the story of this football game. And the Packers are going to get the ball first, so David Whitehurst will get a chance to show what he can do. He has completed 55% of his passes.
All right, John, and John Rivetto will be kicking off for the Chicago Bears, and he was the hero last week, and in fact 2 of the last 3 weeks with overtime field goals to win. And Mike McCoy is back there along with Turdell Middleton for the Green Bay Packers, and we're underway before a sellout at Lambeau Field. And it's taken by McCoy at the goal line. McCoy still going to the 35-yard line. And they love it here in Green Bay. And you couldn't get a ticket for weeks. Willie McClendon makes the tackle. And let's set now the Green Bay Packers on offense. We've talked about David Whitehurst naturally. Gary Ellis is the workhorse in the backfield. And you know those 2 outside twins, Lofton and Jefferson. The offensive line, as you see, Konkar at left tackle. He's had some problems. Larry McCarron starting in his 90th straight game. At the 36, 1st and 10, Green Bay. Huckleby and Ellis, and in motion, the tight end Kaufman. And a play action on 1st down. Kaufman, the tight end, has some room. 1st down, and more. Big play for the Packers, down to the 40-yard line of Chicago. A 29-yard pickup.
Well, right off the bat, the Green Bay Packers have gone to the air. They went with the screen. Big play already in Chicago territory.
The Chicago defense, and they go 4-3, but they change it. The old men in the middle and the youngsters outside, Hampton and Harris. Wilson is back in the lineup after the ankle injury, and the secondary featuring Reuben Henderson, the rookie at right cornerback. So it's 1st and 10 at the 40 for Green Bay. In motion again, Kaufman, this time to the other side, and the second back through is Harlan Huckleby, but the Bears smell that, and perhaps a loss of a yard. Jim Osborne, number 68, comes in to make the play.
The Packers are going into a hurry-up offense right off the bat, trying to limit the Bears on their adjustments on defense.
They don't want him to get into that 5-1-5 so easily. 2nd and 10 at the 40, and Huckleby caught from behind by Mike Singletary, the linebacker, and you saw the kind of hit he made in the opener. So David Whitehurst, as John mentioned, 4 for 4 for 60 yards last week. And Ron Cassidy, number 88, comes in as a 3rd wide receiver on 3rd down as Kaufman goes out. Todd secondary. And both Lofton and Jefferson are split to the right. And the Bears are playing it tight. 3rd and 9 at the 39. And Whitehurst is going up to Lofton, and it's overthrown, incomplete, and it will be 4th down.
Well, that was a case where James Lofton saw Doug Plank coming, number 46, and he did not. He saw that the ball was high, but he really didn't give it the old try for it because he saw number 46, and he knows what he does downfield to receivers who are strung out. So the Packers had a little drive going with a big screenplay, but now will be forced to punt. Apparently, they are at the Bears' 39.
The Chicago Bears have Jeff Fisher, who is second in punt returns, and punting will be Ray Stokowitz from the 47-yard line. Hot and cold rookie kicker from Michigan State. And a fine kick, but this goes, let's see. And it's a touchback. The Packers cannot stop it at the 1. So Ray Stokowitz, the rookie from Michigan State, almost had a kick that dropped at the 1-yard line. Instead, they bring it out to the 20, where the Bears will go on offense for the first time. So a big 29-yard play to Kaufman, and the Packers come up short. Evans, the quarterback. Walter Payton, after a thigh bruise, is back in the lineup. He didn't play in the latter stages against Kansas City. And the offensive line featuring the number 1 draft choice, right tackle Keith Van Horn from USC. So Vince Evans is the quarterback, and he had a horrendous day, 7 for 30 last week. In motion is Suey, and the pitch to Payton. And Payton gets a good block and gets up to the 25-yard line, and Ted Albrecht was out there blocking for him. And the Green Bay Packers on defense. They like to go to the 3-4. Butler has been their best lineman up front, although Merrill has been a sleeper. And when they're healthy, a classy bunch of linebackers with Mike Douglas, perhaps all-pro eventually. And the secondary with a rookie Mark Lee at left cornerback. And Mark Murphy, who's playing strong safety in place of Johnny Gray, who was injured a couple of weeks ago. Gain of 6, 2nd and 4 at the 26. In motion toward the line is Baschnagel, and this is Matt Suey for a couple of tough yards off tackle to the 27-yard line. It'll be 3rd and a good 3 for Vince Evans.
This city has really been electric ever since yesterday. A lot of Chicago fans came pouring in from Chicago. There's not a motel room available in Green Bay, and it's a beautiful day, as you mentioned, Dick, about 55 degrees, perfect for football. The sun is out, and who would have believed it in November in Green Bay?
That's right. This is better weather than we had for the Tampa Bay game a couple of months ago, as you look at Matt Suey, who's performed very well, second year from Penn State. And this has been tremendous economy for the Green Bay area when they play a home game. 3rd and 3, and Ezra Johnson, number 90, replaces Casey Merrill as the Packers expect a pass, and they'll get one, and the pass out of the backfield to Matt Suey, and it was Rich Wingo who read it perfectly. Rich Wingo got Suey, and a loss of 3 yards on the play.
Good play by Wingo because he had to cover Suey man for man. They doubled both outside receivers, leaving the linebackers in a precarious position. He played it well, and the Bears are going to be forced to punt. As you'll see, Wingo now, watch number 50 as he looks for 26, Suey. And Suey goes out into the flat. Evans throws out there, and Wingo was the man on the spot. Used to play for Bear Bryant at Alabama.
Bob Thomas, who's been a consistent kicker, will boot it from the 10-yard line. A low kick, and Mark Lee coming up on the run. And down immediately. Good coverage by the Chicago Bears. Todd Bell, the rookie from Ohio State, made the play, but the Packers will have pretty decent field position. Parsons coming into the game averaging 40 points. You know, it's almost been like a college football rivalry, and the Bears lead at 66-52, although here in Green Bay, the Packers lead is only 27-26 with 4 ties, John.
And just think, it started in 1921. Papa Bear George Halas was here. Then for some reason, they didn't play in 1922. I'll have to check the records to see why. But since then, they've played a couple of times every year, and it's been a tremendous rivalry. In fact, it's what really built pro football, the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears.
And there's a man, Bart Starr and Zeke Bratkowski, who sends the plays in, who, of course, have been part of the rivalry, and Neil Armstrong, and we would be remiss if we didn't say that both of these coaches' jobs really are on the line for the rest of this season. 1st and 10 at the 44 for the Packers. And Ellis trying to find a hole going inside, and he's hit immediately by Otis Wilson, who returned to the lineup this week, although Brian Cabral pretty well in his absence against Kansas City, but Wilson alertly makes the tackle at the 45-yard line, a pickup of about a yard.
That was good inside play by the linebackers. They went with the flow, and as Ellis tried to cut back against it, the linebackers are waiting for him. Singletary and Otis Wilson from the other side.
2nd and 9 at the 45. Gary Ellis, a good receiver and a good blocker back there with Huckabee. And Lofton, or that Jefferson coming toward the line on 2nd and 9. And Whitehurst is dumped by Dan Hampton. Dan Hampton, who has nursed an ankle injury that they haven't talked about too much, came alive against Kansas City and led the team in sacks a year ago, John.
They had 4 sacks last week, and they didn't have too many sacks earlier this year, but all of a sudden it's been beginning to pick up. Al Harris was in there to help force the situation as you look at the middle of the Bears defensive line. There's Jim Osborne rushing, but Al Harris comes from one side, forces Whitehurst to go, and number 99, Dan Hampton on the sack.
All right, 3rd and 16, and 3 wide receivers is Cassidy, number 88, is split to the left. Mike Hartenstein, 73, is a 5th down lineman, and Todd Bell and Jeff Fisher are both in there in the secondary. And Whitehurst up the middle, and it's intercepted. It is intercepted by Jeff Fisher off the fingertips of James Lofton. And so the Bears, continuing their turnover story of a week ago, get an interception by Fisher.
There was a 5-1-5 defense. You're going to see 2 receivers together there. There's Ellis, 31, and Lofton, number 80, and it was just a little bit ahead of him, and number 24, Jeff Fisher, was alert for the interception. The Chicago Bears have the ball.
And it's Fisher's first interception of his NFL career, the 7th-round draft choice. Following that interception by Jeff Fisher, 1st and 10 in Green Bay territory at the 45. 9:21 to go in the first quarter, no score. Brian Baschnagel, number 84, Ricky Watts, number 80, are the receivers, but here's Walter Payton. And Payton gets inside the 40-yard line before he's stopped by the nose tackle Terry Jones. So Walter Payton back in action, and Payton gained 70 yards and 21 carries last week, and now he's going over the 700-yard mark. And the all-team leading rushers, as you see, he's 4th right now, and Harris had a good day last week for Pittsburgh.
And Walter had a good day, a good week of working out. His leg seems to be 100%, so we might see a big day. He's been banged up most of this season.
Ken Marjoram, number 89, wide right, replacing Baschnagel as the receivers are bringing in the plays. And Payton, good juke, and gets inside in a 1st down to the 27-yard line. Walter Payton found a big hole. And is no question off the top, it looks like Payton's a key man for the Bears today.
That time he just went off the tail of his guard. Noah Jackson pulled in through for the trap, and Payton had his eyes open, found a little hole, and squeezed right through there. Walter Payton. And I know he loves to play football, and he's happy for Willie McClendon doing so well, but, you know, he wants to play football too.
Not too happy. 1st and 10 at the 27 for the Bears. Baschnagel back in there. Matsui is stopped for maybe a yard. Terry Jones, the nose tackle, once again makes the stop for the Packers. Ezra Johnson comes in the game, and Casey Merrill goes out. And actually, the Packers regard them both as starters. They both alternate. As you see, Jones, the nose tackle, who likes to take his shirt out of his trousers just as a superstitious move. One of the peculiarities that some of the players have in the league. 2nd and 9 at the 26. 7:35 to play first quarter. No score. Evans to throw. He has time. And Robert Earl dropped the ball, and there was no one within 10 yards of the tight end.
Well, the Bears haven't thrown to the tight end too much in the past few games, and that time they sent the receivers down, cleared the zone, and Earl was wide open coming across. He would have been very close to the 1st down. He's got to hang on to those. That was right in the stomach. Philadelphia over Baltimore 7-0 in the first quarter, and look at St. Louis surprising Buffalo so far 3-0 in the first quarter. Field goal for O'Donohue. And Oakland 7-0 over Miami. Mark Wilson has a touchdown pass in that game.
6 defensive backs for the Packers, Whitaker and Hood, and 3 wide receivers for the Bears at 3rd and 9 at the 26. But Evans has time, and this time he completes it inside the 20, short of a 1st down, as David Williams, number 22, who is back playing today, and of course comes in on 3rd down plays as the fullback, who's stopped by Hood, but they'll be short of a 1st down.
The field goal team is coming out onto the field as Williams sees his first action in quite a while. He's had a bad knee, and he's very good on the 3rd downs passing situation. So now now Rivetto's going to try a field goal. Apparently. You always have to say apparently. You never know in the NFL.
Well, we saw what the Giants did against the Packers in a fake last week. Avellini will hold. It'll be a 36-yard attempt for Rivetto, who has kicked 7 of 10 since joining the Bears. And this kick is up, and it is good. John Rivetto picks up where he left off last week by putting the Bears in front 3-0. The Bears will kick off. John Rivetto, who just put Chicago in front 3-0. For the Packers, Mike McCoy and Turdell Middleton are both deep. Bart Starr is not happy with the kickoff return work by the Packers. Mark Lee had done both the punting and kickoff returns in the past, but he's trying a new combination this time.
So far this year, they're only averaging 17 yards per return, and that's not very high.
Amazingly enough, they've covered kicks very well.
Yes.
All right, Rivetto kicking off 6:42 first quarter, and it is a short kick, and Middleton at the 6. To the 35, Brian Cabral, the linebacker who played last week in Otis Wilson's absence, makes the stop. And so the Packers will take over in pretty decent field position. Turdell Middleton, who was hurt. Of course, the Packers still miss Eddie Lee Ivory, who was injured in the opening game against the Bears, which was won, by the way, by the Packers 16-9.
Let's see how much the Packers throw on first down. They did it at the beginning of the game, and it was a successful screen. And a lot of people feel that if you want to beat the Bears with a pass, you throw it on first down where you have a chance to get a more conventional type defense.
Jefferson wide left, Lofton split to the right. And a quick toss. Wide receiver screen to James Lofton, who has a first down past the 45-yard line and near midfield. Terry Smith drove him out of bounds, number 44, the left cornerback. So a quick pass, and one of the things the Pack wanted to do is to get outside on the Bears' defense.
Now that play almost went for a touchdown. There was a saving tackle by the ankle from behind there. I think it was Plank that came over and just tripped him up because all three offensive linemen got out there in front, and that was a well-executed play. First down, Green Bay.
Lofton coming in the game as the leading receiver for the Packers. Caught only 2 against the Giants last week. First and 10 on Green Bay's 49 out of the eye. And another toss, this time to Lofton, complete, out of bounds at the 30, and Reuben Henderson, the other cornerback, and no secret to what the Packers are doing to the Chicago Bears defense here.
That time they beat a double coverage. Actually, it was one-on-one. Henderson up there pushing, but he had Plank to help him a little bit deep. And they caught it right between the zone. He can hit him there, but you see Plank 46 coming over, but it's too late because they didn't throw it so far downfield. Had they thrown the long up pattern, then Plank would have been there for the coverage. Good thinking, good play by the Packers.
2 straight passes, good for 35 yards to James Lofton, and a first and 10 for the Packers, and Gary Ellis had an opening that was sealed in a hurry by the Bears to the 28-yard line. Otis Wilson, the linebacker, makes the tackle. So obviously Lofton is getting the call early. He started out on the right sideline, went to the left, and they're trying to beat the corners down the field. So a gain of 2 for Ellis. It's second now and 8 at the 28. Packers' offensive line has not protected the quarterback well this year. And in order to hit the deep men, he's going to need time.
And notice on that 4-man front, the 3 linebackers all inside the defensive lineman. It's a stacked defense.
They're playing the 4-3, and another quick release. Lofton again, and James Lofton is a first down and out of bounds at the 10-yard line. And it was Gary Campbell this time. So the quick pass to the wide receiver, and a good move by Lofton, and Green Bay's threatening.
Excellent play as Lofton got away from Plank and Henderson on the quick pass. Plank first, and then he puts a little juke onto Henderson, and if Campbell had not been hustling from his linebacker position, Lofton would have had a touchdown, but the Packers on the move via the passing game.
And 3 receptions to Lofton, that one for 17 yards, and it's first and 10 at the 11. And there you see at the top of your screen, Jefferson and Lofton are split. And Jefferson comes toward line in a play action. Whitehurst overthrows Kaufman, and Gary Campbell was defending on the play. So it'll be second and 10, and keep in mind that the Packers can get a first down without getting a touchdown.
Interesting play and a good play that the Packers have used before, where they have Lofton going against the grain, back against the flow of the quarterback, and it's worked for him in the past. But that time, 59, Gary Campbell had it well covered. Now we have a second and 10. Let's see if the Packers go with a couple of passes rather than trying to run it over. I have an idea they're going to pass.
Bears are in their 5-1-5 as Jeff Fisher comes in at the secondary. Mark Hartenstein, number 73. Mike, former Penn Stater, is in as a down lineman. 2nd and 10 at the 11. And that inside pressure and the pass, penalty marker down, and immediate offensive interference on Jefferson. Let's see. Terry Schmidt was back there. The pass was intended for Jefferson, and 2 penalty flags are down. And apparently it may be against Schmidt. We'll see. It is. Terry Schmidt is guilty. And it's going to be 1st and goal at the 1.
The Bears had a blitz. 46 was picked up. That was Doug Plank, and they just threw out their one-on-one situation, and we can't really pick it up there, but they're calling Schmidt for interfering with Jefferson, and it's going to be a 1st down at the 1. That's what you call a big call.
Referee is Gene Barth. Gary Lewis, number 81. 2nd-round draft pick from Texas Arlington, is in there at the wing-back right. 2 tight ends are in there for the Packers. 1st and goal at the 1. And Harlan Huckabee is stopped short of a touchdown. And a superb play by Lee Coons, number 57 from Nebraska, to prevent the touchdown.
Yes, he lined up way back at the goal line and just looked to see where the hole was going to be and threw his body in there and stopped Huckabee's momentum. So the Packers are 2nd with about 3/4 of a yard. Now watch 57. He comes flying in there. He comes from way back, and there's nobody really to block him. And if he can time it right, he can stop the ball carrier.
2nd and goal now at the 1. Ellis is the up back. And a play action. They're looking to throw. Harlan Huckabee has a touchdown. Green Bay.
Well, that has to be a pretty good call, especially when it works. They had a 2nd down there on the 1-yard line, went to the air. A tough job for a defensive back to cover that back out of the backfield when you've got that threat of the jam right up the middle. He goes out as Hartenstein tried to leap up and obstruct the quarterback, but there was Huckabee out there, and Finzig tried to make the tackle in time, but no dice. Touchdown, Green Bay.
And the 5th touchdown pass of the year for Whitehurst. And as you said, the gamble and a key block there by the center, Larry McCarron. And Huckabee with his 1st touchdown reception. The extra point by Stenerud is good. And now the Green Bay Packers have taken the lead with 4 minutes and 48 seconds to go in the 1st quarter, and a gorgeous afternoon with the crowd roused for this one. Telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, and it's intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Green Bay Packers and the National Football League is prohibited. You know, Johnny, we were taking a look at George Halas in an earlier day, and of course, he and Curly Lambeau, who we'll see later on, coach each other for 29 years against each other. They weren't real friends, were they?
No, I understand they never shook hands, but they played football.
Emory Moorhead on the return for the Bears, and a very fine return for Moorhead out to the 36-yard line. And against Kansas City in the overtime, he ran a kickoff back 56 yards, but the Bears couldn't score that time.
Both these teams have had trouble on kickoff returns, but you wouldn't know it by today. In fact, a lot of people predicted maybe a 3-3 game, nothing, because of the offenses haven't been all that hot. Well, we got something going. It's already 7-3, and we're only a few minutes into the game.
Johnny, one thing we've learned is that whatever is expected, the opposite will happen.
Especially in a Bear-Packer game.
1st and 10 at the 36-yard line. 7-3 Packers. Bashnagle 84, Watts number 80 are the receivers. Bashnagle split left. Evans will throw. He lost his footing momentarily, but he completes to Ricky Watts nonetheless. A 1st down at the 47-yard line. So Ricky Watts, who last week caught 2 passes and a touchdown throw in the 1st quarter, gives the Bears a 1st down.
Mark Lee must have been 10 yards off of Ricky Watts on that play. As you're going to watch to the right upper part, and you're going to see how far Mark Lee is off of Ricky Watts. Nobody around, and it was like duck soup. So they might have to play a little bit differently.
At the 47-yard line, there you're looking at Ricky Watts. Got a lot of speed, but still wearing the flak jacket and nursing the rib injury that he had. Also a hamstring. And here's Walter Payton. Payton. Look how he looks for those yards. Successfully, we might add, to the 46, and he picked up a good 7 before Mike Butler, the lineman, made the tackle. Mike Butler, number 1 draft choice in his 5th year. And of course, he was taken the same year as Ezra Johnson, who comes in once in a while on pass situations. Cincinnati off to a lead.
3-0 over Los Angeles. Pittsburgh, the Steelers over Atlanta, 7-0 in the 1st quarter. Bradshaw to Cunningham for a touchdown.
Evans struggled last week. 6 touchdowns and 10 interceptions for Vince in his first full year. 2nd and 3 at the 46. Matsui is close to a first down. Terry Jones, the nose tackle, was there. So it'll be 3rd and short, or else they'll have the first down.
I think it's going to be a touch short. It'll be about maybe a half a yard.
Looking at the Packers defense and now the Bears on offense. We told you Matsui fumbled in a controversial call in the opening game of the year on the 1-yard line. And the Packers won 16-9. Robin Earl, number 81, has come in. Mike Cobb, number 87, who has had a chest injury but is playing. In motion, Watts, 3rd and 1 at the 43. And Walter Payton dives to the 40 for a first down.
He is almost impossible to stop on that play. If there's a little air there, he's going to find it and get up and over. He would have been great in the Olympics with maybe a double swan dive or something like that. Probably would have gotten a gold medal.
For sure. He gets a gold medal in the NFL as Philadelphia being tested here. Curtis Dickey scored for Baltimore, but the extra point missed. 1st and 10 at the 40. Watts wide right, and Marjoram is split to the left. Evans take the handoff to Payton, and Kenny Marjoram is hit hard, and what a hit by Mike McCoy. The cornerback clobbered Marjoram.
And the Packers put their first real blitz on that time. They had Michael Douglas coming. They put a lot of pressure on Evans. You're going to see 53 come on the blitzes. The Packers had 5 men coming, and that really forced Evans to throw the ball, and he put it in there, but McCoy was on the coverage and knocked the ball loose. Good defense by Mike McCoy and Green Bay. A 2nd down passing situation. The Packers normally go with 3 men, a 3-man rush, and once in a while, 1 linebacker coming with him.
2nd and 10 at the 40. Evans to Robin Earl, and he holds on this time and gets a couple of more yards for Gravy. And a first down at the 17-yard line. Mark Murphy, number 37, who's starting at strong safety for the 2nd straight week, made the stop on Robin Earl, who dropped a pass wide open and catches his 10th of the year.
And he took some punishment, too, because Maurice Harvey, number 23, really hit him. This is the advantage of being a big tight end. Earl concentrates on the ball. He's going to take a real pop from Harvey right there, and he hung on to the ball and took it on down. They call him the train. He moves. Once he gets going in a straight line, he's hard to stop.
15-yard pickup, 1st and 10 for the Bears at the 17. 1:51 remaining in the first quarter. Packers lead 7-3, but the Bears are driving, and Walter Payton can't go anywhere, and a fumble. Bears recover. Bears recover at the 21. The Packers had a shot at it, but the ball got loose again. And the Bears recover. Vince Evans trailing the play, got the loose ball, but Cumbie wishes he had another shot.
There was really a collision there between Payton and Douglas as Payton knocked him out, and then the ball was pulled loose by Cumbie, I believe, and the Packers almost had it, but Vince Evans alertly gets in there, number 8, and it's still Chicago's Bear as a ball as Neil Armstrong breathes a sigh of relief and says, okay, Vince, here we go again.
So Evans goes to the sideline to talk things over with Ted Marchibroda on the left and Neil Armstrong. They are calling plays for him. As you see, coming off the field, Maurice Harvey, the free safety, shaken up, and he'll be replaced by the 7th-round draft choice, Bill Whitaker.
And I think Harvey didn't get hurt on this last play. It was the play before when he collided with Robin Earl. He's been a real steal for Green Bay. They got him on as a free agent and has done a good job as Vince comes back in.
He likes to have the plays called for him.
He's now saying that maybe it'll help me out for the rest of this year. He wants to call his own plays eventually once he becomes a more experienced quarterback. Right now, he'll do what the coaches want to do.
2nd and 14 at the 21. With 1:06 to go in the first quarter.
Blitz.
Evans has gone back. They picked up the blitz effectively, and this pass is knocked away, intended for Ricky Watson. A penalty marker down in the end zone. Bill Whitaker and Mark Lee defending on the play, and there's a penalty. Boy, this crowd is the kind of crowd you hear at a college game with a cheering for defense and so forth. Gene Barth.
Number 30 defense, interference, first down on the 1-yard line.
It's on Bill Whitaker.
And the Bears got a break on that one. They actually threw into double coverage up there in the corner, and the Packers had it well covered. You'll see Lee has him here, and as Watts goes to his corner move, there's Whitaker, number 30, is right there on the coverage, and he comes in there. Boy, that's a tough call. It was almost like Watts running into Whitaker. That's a very controversial call, I'm sure, as the fans go wild here in Green Bay.
Evans can't hear the signals, and he's probably they're saying, look, just go and call the play because it's not going to get any better. And the Packer fans in that corner of the end zone with the sign, Bears can't stop the Glimmer Twins, obviously referring to Jefferson and Lofton, are going to make it even tougher for Evans now, I think.
It's going to be noisy. A couple of weeks ago, the fans went wild here in the game against Seattle, and the place just bellowed for about 10 minutes. And that's going to go down as a controversial call because the Packers had it well covered, and it's just one of those calls that's the official's judgment. He's closer to it.
There's a crowd, and they're going to let
here they go.
First and goal at the 1. Suey is the up back. And they go to Walter Payton, and Payton is close. Within inches, Walter Payton couldn't leap it over, and it'll be second down. And one of the men that made that play was George Cumby, number 52, the linebacker in his second year, was hurt last year. Look for him.
And they have Kurt Alleman in there, too. He's real good on trying to stop these high flyers. Boy, look how high Payton got. And there's Michael Douglas, and there's Cumby. Everybody is in on the tackle. And obviously they're keen where Walter Payton goes because the Bears have such a tendency to do that with him. The other thing that they will do sometimes is quarterback sneak. Vince Evans is close.
Second and goal, Watts is moving. And Matsui has the touchdown to put the Bears back in front. So who expected this kind of scoring? This is normally enough scoring for 2 games between these clubs, John.
Yes, and Matsui was wide open, and the Packers should have figured that one out because they weren't in an I formation. Payton's at the right halfback spot, and that was the key that they're going to give it to Suey instead of giving it to Payton. And Suey goes in as everybody went for Walter, and you cannot stop Suey once he's got that yard and that open daylight. So the Chicago Bears take the lead.
Third touchdown rushing of the season for Matsui, and Rivetto with Avellini holding will attempt the point after touchdown. 10 plays, 65 yards for the Bears, and the kick is good. So on both touchdown drives in this game, they've been helped along by pass interference calls in the end zone. First led to Whitehurst to Huckleby for a yard, and then the second pass interference.
Bears have had 2 good kickoff returns already today.
Middleton and McCoy are standing at the 3-yard line. McCoy to the left, Middleton number 34. And it's heading over toward Turdell Middleton. Inside the 10, and he stepped out of bounds. Turdell Middleton steps out of bounds at the 7-yard line. A bad break for the Packers.
Well, he thought he could catch it and then go right up the sidelines, but the momentum took him on out, and that's the kind the coaches will look at in the films and say, what are you doing? You get an F on that play. But it's very difficult sometimes. That was a short ball. If he lets it hit, and it was short and high, he lets it hit and it bounces the wrong way, you never know what's going to happen. At least they have the football, and Chicago does not have it.
Tightrope play here, John.
Yes. There he goes, 1, 2, 3, and his toe hits it. First down, Green Bay at the 8.
First and 10 at the 7-yard line. And it's Huckleby on an inside counter. Osborne grabbed him around to the 10-yard line, a gain of 3. And Huckleby, of course, played at Michigan. In the Rose Bowl, he was originally a number 6 draft choice by the New Orleans Saints. Couldn't bust that lineup with Galbraith and Muncie, and went to play Canadian football and may have found a home here in Green. Start of the second quarter, the Bears lead at 10-7. And is on their own 10-yard line. Second down and 7. Lofton wide left, Jefferson right, and Gary Ellis carries and gets to the 11-yard line, and that's all. Otis Wilson makes the tackle. Now for an NFL Today report. Let's go to Brent Musburger in New York.
Dick, second and goal for the Bengals. You look for Pete Johnson on the run, but they sent him out to receive a pass, and Kenny Anderson got him, and the Bengals lead the Rams right now, 10-0. They're in the second quarter. Let's go back to Dick Stockton and Johnny Morris in Packerland.
All right, Brent, I'll tell you, that Kenny Anderson's having quite a year to lead Cincinnati. It's 3rd and 6 at the 11 right now with 14:24 opening minute here of the second quarter. 5-1-5 defense for the Bears. Whitehurst at his goal line got hit, and the pass is incomplete. And great pressure there from Dan Hampton, number 899, and he had some help as well. Hartenstein was in too.
Well, there's when you're in for problems. When the Bears get you in your own territory on a 3rd down long passing situation, they come after you and they went into that 5-man front and put all kinds of pressure. The Packers will be forced to punt, and it looks like the Bears are going to have good field position as Jeff Fisher is back to return.
Stockowitz, who has a 72-yard punt but has been awfully spotty this year, is 5 yards in his end zone and Fisher midfield.
And he kicks too many line drives. That's the problem with Stockowitz.
There's one right now, a line drive, and Fisher on the run at the 40-yard line. And the Bears are in golden position, but a penalty marker is thrown down at about the 45. So let's wait and see. Jeff Fisher, who is second in the NFC in punt returns, averaging a little over 14 yards, and Eric Torkelson brought him down. That was a 13-yard return and a holding call against Chicago at a bad time. They were really wetting their lips, weren't they? Yes,
they'll still have pretty decent field position, but Stockowitz, who was so good in college, he gets some good kicks, but he kicks those line shots, and that's the way you get hurt.
You know, Johnny, they say he loves the cold weather. Maybe the weather hasn't been cold enough for Ray.
Illegal block in the back, number 30 on the run back, 10-yard penalty, first down.
John Skabinski got the penalty.
But you're right, it's still good field position at the 47-yard line of Chicago. So at 14:08, a lot of time to go. You look at the penalty story. Chicago's been penalized a lot this year with the 47. Evans is 4 for 6 for 40 yards so far, and Walter Payton has carried 7 times for 34 yards. This is his 8th carry, and he tried to go outside, and Matsui was attempting to block for him. He couldn't, had to cut in, and picks up a couple of yards. Casey Merrill, number 78, who's had a fine year as the other defensive end besides Mike Butler, makes a stop, and Ezra Johnson comes in for Green Bay, replacing Merrill, and Ricky Watts goes out as Ted Marchibroda sends in the receivers with the play for the Bears. 2nd and 8 at the 49-yard line. Second quarter, 10-7. The Bears lead in this 125th renewal of this great rivalry.
He's going to go for Marjoram, I think.
Evans up the middle, tried Robin Earl, and it looked like he was going for the official. Incomplete. The official had a duck. That pass was heading for him.
That's twice in that situation when Marjoram's been out here on the strong side as a flanker as we look at this replay. As the Packers put the blitz on, brought 2 linebackers, and here comes Earl across the line of scrimmage, and the official did get in the way, and the pass was thrown behind him anyway, so.
Whitaker and Estes Hood come in the secondary as Murphy goes out. 3 wide receivers for the Bears. Dave Williams, number 22, is in as the fullback, going out on 3rd down. And Evans' pass to Brian Baschnagel is complete inside the 40 and a first down. So a fine catch, and Evans right on target there. And Johnny, you brought out the fact that he was throwing a lot of high passes. He threw a few low ones. This was a good low pass.
Yeah, he's been told to throw to Brian Baschnagel low because of the fact he's got that bad arm, the broken arm, and he throws this one plenty low, right down in there where he can dig it out. Takes the hit from Maurice Harvey, but Baschnagel, a clutch receiver for Chicago all season, gets the first down. Key play.
And his 30th reception of the year, and that matches his career high set 2 years ago.
That's a man that played in 4 straight Rose Bowl games.
First down story as we have 1st and 10 at the 39-yard line. And a blitz, and Walter Payton was brought down by Terry Jones at the 40. It looked like a safety blitz coming up for the Packers.
It was Mark Murphy. It was like two cars passing in the night as Murphy went one way and Payton went the other way. And but it did jam up the play so that they weren't able to get too many yards out of it. In fact, less than a yard.
So it'll be 2nd and 11 as Robin Earl, number 81, comes back in. Cobb goes out. He was in for a play. So Watts is wide left. Marjoram, the rookie from Stanford, wide right.
This is a situation for Marjoram.
2nd and 10 at the 39. And Payton moved. There'll be a penalty marker down. Walter Payton moved, and there's a fumble, I believe. Evans lost the ball, and it was covered by the Bears. But the penalty marker was down, and Payton had just moved forward.
He got a little mixed on the count because he was going to go sideways, but before he went forward and then sideways, and that's where the penalty came about. And obviously a good decision. They refused the penalty because they got the sack there and almost recovered the football. So the Bears are in a 3rd and long situation as St. Louis has a surprising 10-0 lead over Buffalo.
Well, that's an up-and-down team. You never know what the Cardinals are going to do. They beat Dallas, and now they're shocking Buffalo. So it's 3rd and 17 at the 46. And the Packers now going with 5 defensive backs. 3 wide receivers in there, and Evans is going to try and run, but he knew he had nowhere to go. Terry Jones and Ezra Johnson both stopped him at the 45-yard line. So despite good field position, even after the penalty, the Packers defense rose to the occasion.
The Bears had everybody covered, I should say the Packers had everybody covered downfield, and Evans, who hasn't been running too much lately when the pass situation breaks down, took off and ran, but the Packers were alert. You see Ezra Johnson, number 9, forces him back to the left here, and then here comes Terry Jones for the tackle.
So it's 4th down, and Bob Parsons will kick from the 45, heading toward Mark Lee, who calls for the fair catch, and it's down by Matt Suey, or make it Todd Bell at the 2-yard line. So the Bears, with great coverage on that kick, it also took a Chicago bounce instead of going in the end zone, and so the Packers have their backs to the wall here.
And it does a lot of times. Parsons is great at kicking inside the 20, the ball.
All right, Kermit and his friends are here, huh?
Well, the one on the left is the Bears' number 1 draft choice, and the one on the right is the Packers.
Kermit the Frog. All right, they're coming from all over the Midwest. Wisconsin, 1st and 10 at the 2-yard line for the Packers. Trailing 10-7 of the Bears. What does Whitehurst have up his sleeve now? Play action in the end zone. He has time, and he's going outside and overthrows Harlan Huckleby, who is defended all the way downfield by the linebacker Otis Wilson. What's happening with Cincinnati and L.A.? Well, for an NFL Today report, let's go to Brent Musburger in New York.
Dick, it is 3rd and goal. Pastorini under center. Pulls out. He's got Preston Denard's number. He wants to go to the left. Breeden, the defensive back, comes with him. Breeden reaches around, knocks the ball away. The Rams have to settle for a field goal. It's 10-3. Back to Dick.
All right, Brent. 2nd and 10 at the 2, following the incompletion of Huckleby. And look at that changing, stuttering defense by the Bears. And it's Huckleby. And Huckleby gets some room and gets out to the 15-yard line before Gary Campbell, the very active right side linebacker, makes the tackle. And Huckleby got the Packers out of a tough jam there, and Campbell brought him down. He almost broke it.
It looked like there were Bears all over the place, and he found a little hole and got through there. That was a clutch play because it was an in run right on the goal line. If anybody had knifed through, let's take a look at it. As Huckleby goes to the right, Leotos Harris makes a good block, and there's 31. Gary Ellis goes through the hole first, can't find anybody to block, and finally Huckleby gets downfield, 1st down, Green Bay.
At the 17, Jefferson was out for a play. He's back, and in motion is Kaufman. And rolling out is Whitehurst, and his pass to Ellis incomplete, and we almost saw Mike Singletary come whizzing by to pick it off and maybe go in. So Whitehurst pass is incomplete, and Singletary, who really hit so well last week.
And he did a good job on that. It was a pass play. The one thing that Singletary has had some problems picking up on in his first year as a middle linebacker is the pass coverage. And that time he was kind of sneaking around there. Whitehurst didn't see him, almost had a touchdown. Green Bay, 2nd down.
5-1-5 defense for the Bears. 2nd and 10, 17-yard line. 10:27 remaining in the 2nd quarter. Bears lead it 10-7. And that was a mix-up play, I believe. It was not a quarterback keeper as far as I could tell.
One of the backs missed the cue there, or Whitehurst, but it looks Whitehurst is now talking to Huckleby and trying to explain to him that, hey, there was a mess up there.
Whitehurst at one time in his career started 38 consecutive games for the Packers, and then of course this is only his 2nd start in the last 2 years. He's in his 5th year from Furman, 8th round draft choice. 3rd down conversions have been tough today for the Pack. 3rd and 13 at the 14. Jefferson and Lofton wide left, and Cassidy, the 3rd receiver, wide right. Pressure. The pass, incomplete, and diving and trying to pick up something was Gary Fensick, but good pressure for the Bears as they did against Kenny last week.
And with just a 4-man rush, they put a little twist on him. Page got through there, and Whitehurst was under pressure, had to get rid of the ball, and almost had it intercepted.
So Stokowitz, he might as well build a tent right around there. He's had to kick twice. from his own goal line.
If he's going to kick those line drives, he ought to kick either to the right or to the left, not right down the middle.
Jeff Fisher at the 43 for the Bears. They tried for the block, and no penalty flag is down. Stakowicz kicked it, and it gets by Fisher. I don't believe he touched it, obviously not, and the Packers down it at the 37-yard line. Bill Whitaker. So the Packers get out of a big jam right there, and they got to roll. Leaders, we got the fans chanting in unison. We have everything but a cannon here. We got signs all over the place. That's the kind of spirit we have in this game. 1921 Bears. How'd they make out, John?
They won 10, lost 1, and tied 1.
Pretty good outfit.
Yeah, they beat Rock Island and Rochester and the Packers.
That was the start of this great series. 1st and 10 at the 38 for the Bears, and Vince Evans in the pocket. Pass is complete to Ray Watts, and did he thread the needle? Evans to Watts at the 35. Mark Lee defending. And when you talk about the arm Vince Evans possesses, there was a graphic example of it.
Yes, that was a cannon shot, and it's a good thing it was, because Maurice Harvey, 23, was coming over. Watch Harvey would just miss the interception as Watts gets the inside position on Mark Lee, and the ball is right on the diamond. You're going to see 23 come flying by. He's the safety there, and he almost batted the ball away. Mark Lee had to make the tackle, and the Bears have been pounding on Green Bay in Green Bay's territory most of this game.
25-yard pickup. Roland Harper, number 35, is in the game, and on a reverse. Marjoram. Marjoram goes inside. Marjoram with a 25 and another Chicago first down. So the Bears go on a reverse, and Ken Marjoram from Stanford, who has had a fine year and leading the Bears in receiving.
And he does a great job of setting up Noah Jackson for his block. You're going to see 65 out in front here, and he throws a block on McCoy. He's off to the right there, and Marjoram sets him up by faking outside and then cutting inside. Here comes the block there by 65. McCoy was down. Marjoram goes up the field, and finally it's George Cumby, and Marjoram actually kind of went down on his own. He figured he had enough.
He caught 4 passes last week. Marjoram and Lofton know each other well. They're in business together. From Stanford. Oh, it's an interception. The pass is intercepted. Mark Murphy. And he's out of bounds. And what a play by Mark Murphy when the Bears had run off 2 big plays. Evans came all the way downfield and jarred Murphy out of bounds. A big interception for Mark Murphy. His second in 2 weeks.
Evans did not see him as Murphy just hung in that short zone, took the interception. Here's an amazing play by Vince Evans, a quarterback at the middle of the field, and he runs all the way over and knocks Murphy out of bounds. A tremendous play by Vince Evans, showing the speed that he has for a quarterback.
Look at him.
That was sensational, but you can't take it away from Murphy. He smelled the play out, got the interception. Green Bay deep in Chicago territory. What a football game. There he is. As you see, he was going for that short zone, and Evans just didn't see him, and he made the good grab, took it down the sidelines. The Packers have it.
1st and 10 at the 29-yard line. Murphy intercepted one last week against the Giants. A big one here, and it returns at 39 yards. And Whitehurst is going for Lofton, and it's broken up. Fine defensive play by Gary Fensick, who had him in front, and Fensick broke up that touchdown pass to Lofton.
And also it was Doug Plank on the front side, who might have been the one who actually knocked the ball down. But that time you had 2 safeties covering the Fleet wide receiver.
Penalty marker down, however, at the line of scrimmage. And it's going to mark it off against the Packers. Gene Barth. Let's pick it up.
69 offense, holding, still first down.
That was Leotis Harris, the guard. And Harris comes out of the game. At a 5-1-5 Packer defense now at 1st and 20. Arlen Thompson, number 71, from Baylor, replaces Harris. The ball at the 40-yard line, 1st and 20. Jefferson and Lofton wide left.
Now you see Terry Schmidt going this side. Now he's got to chase the man in motion over across the field.
And it's Jefferson, the man in motion. 8:02 to go. Second quarter, 10-7. The Bears lead the Packers. Whitehurst, short drop, and he's going to Jefferson. And it's knocked away. Another fine play by the Bears secondary, Terry Schmidt, who went over to follow Jefferson, followed him all the way, Johnny.
And that's not an easy job. Terry Schmidt, a lot of teams trying to pick on him throughout the year. Now he's one-on-one. He's playing not too deep. As soon as he sees him goes toward the sidelines, Schmidt turns his back and runs with him. And then turns his head. And the key is if the defensive back turns his head when the receiver does, and it's just a heck of a play by Terry Schmidt.
Bart Starr told us he thinks that Schmidt is an underrated cornerback.
He is very underrated.
Picked up on waivers from New Orleans, 2nd and 20 on the 40. And Whitehurst doesn't like what he sees, and the Bears, we talked about it at the top of the game, about how Whitehurst would react to the changing defenses of the Chicago Bears, and right there he had to call a timeout. So the Packers use up a timeout with both coaches, Bart Starr on the left, Neil Armstrong, know they're on the spot. They say that Starr needs at least an 8-8 year to keep his job. Who knows what will happen in Chicago, but the Bears have won 2 out of 3 with 2 overtime wins against tough AFC Western squads and leading here.
And Minnesota has taken an early lead over New Orleans, 3-0 on a Dan Meyer field goal. Oakland now 14-0 over Miami.
And right here, 2nd and 20 at the 40 for the Packers in green against the Bears in white. In motion is Jefferson, and this time Reuben Henderson is watching him. And Whitehurst with a deep drop and a lot of pressure throws the ball away. And it was Osborne, number 68. I tell you, last week it was Page. Osborne coming in with some good inside pressure to force Whitehurst to throw it away.
There's no question there's been a definite improvement in the Bear defensive line play in the last 2 or 3 games, and it makes a whole big difference on the performance of the team. When you get pressure from that defensive line, it makes the defense look like a whole different ball game.
3rd down conversions for you. The Packers have yet to convert. 0 for 3 as Cassidy, number 88, comes in as a 3rd wide receiver, and he'll be wide left with the Glimmer twins, as they call them here, Lofton and Jefferson to the right. 5-1-5 for the Bears. 3rd and 20. Whitehurst has Huckabee. Huckabee gets away from Fisher. And Harlan Huckabee is going into the end zone. Touchdown. He got away from Fisher. And they're going wild in Green Bay.
The Packers had both wide receivers over on the other side of the field. They brought Huckabee out, and he got away from Jeff Fisher, 24 first. He made the grab from the up position. He sneaks out from the line at the left ear screen. Now Fisher's going to have a shot at him and misses him. And then his best move that he put on Fencik, Gary Fencik, 45, will come over for the tackle right here. He stops and goes back on him, and that was the key to that touchdown. Great play, individual effort by Harlan Huckabee.
And he has caught 2 touchdown passes this afternoon. And the point after by Stenerud is good, and the Packers have regained the lead in what has developed into a season. 14-10 Green Bay, and for the last 5 games, the winners scored 16 points or less. And one glaring exception was last season when the Bears rolled it up 61-7 over the Packers. We're not going to have a rout, I don't think, today, but we're not going to have a close, low-scoring game. We may have a close game.
Now let's take a look at Stenerud's kickoff. He hasn't been kicking all that deep, but he does get him very high so that they can get down on the coverage.
And the coverage, they've only given up 16.5 yards on the return. Moorhead at the 4. And good coverage again. Jarring hitting on the field as they get to the 20-yard line. Kurt Allerman, the former Cardinal and the savvy veteran, made the hit. So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Chicago Bears at the 21-yard line, and a penalty marker down offsides called against the Packers as important game here.
Offside, kicking team.
Well, we're going to do it all over again because the Packers were called for offsides.
Pittsburgh-Atlanta score. You saw New Orleans and Minnesota tied in a game that, of course, affects both of these teams, with the Vikings having the lead in the NFC Central.
The Vikings were 6-4 going in, Tampa Bay 5-5, Detroit and Green Bay 4-6, and the Chicago Bears bringing up the rear at 3-7, but everybody still has a chance.
Yeah, 5-5 is the best record for the second wild card berth, and the Packers have 4 wins, and the Bears have 3, and of course the Packers have, this is the first of 4 straight weeks against the Central Division rivalries.
Unfortunately for Green Bay, they'll have to play most of those games on the road.
Right. Stenerud, 3 field goals behind Jim Turner, Blanda the all-time leader. Jan Stenerud, who went to Montana State on a skiing scholarship. He's in his 15th year. But Bart Starr said, there's no one I'd rather have kicking for the winner last week than Jan Stenerud, formerly with Kansas City.
What is he, 19 of 21? Yeah, 19 of 21 in field goals.
That's exactly right.
That's really unbelievable. And that's a 90% rating. I think he's first or second in the league. Seption has a pretty good percentage, but that's an outstanding year. And he has that new tee that he's devised where they offset the one little peg so that for the sidewinder type of kickers.
There's Emery Moorhead. And a short kick. Coming over to the side, and David Leslie Frazier, a rookie cornerback, picked up the short ball and went out of bounds beyond the 30. We'll call it the 32. An 11-yard return by Leslie Frazier, and that's where the Bears have it.
And we have a barn burner. Most people would have said, hey, this game's going to be, what, 3-3, 10-7? No way, not today. It's too nice a day. Everybody has to be entertained.
Evans has thrown for 76 yards, 6 for 11. And the total offense is virtually even. 1st and 10 at the 32 for the Bears. Play action for Vince. He gets hit, and his pass is behind Marjoram and almost intercepted by Mark Lee. But tremendous pressure put on, I believe, by Casey Merrill.
That time there was a little mix-up between Marjoram and Evans. I think Marjoram made a little adjustment in his pattern that time according to the defense on the double coverage. You're going to see Casey Merrill, number 78, as he got by Ted Albrecht to the inside and put the pressure on and almost had an interception. So the Bears are in a second down passing situation.
So Vince Evans from USC. He was a 6th-round draft choice and the lowest-rated quarterback in the NFC coming into this week's game. Walter Payton is just surrounded by a bunch and a loose ball, and the whistle had blown. There's no fumble. The whistle had blown. Rich Wingo is right in the middle of that pack early.
And I think it might have been Douglas who stripped the ball from him, but they had already been forcing him backwards, and so you can't call a fumble. His forward progress, and he was being hugged down, you might say, and they swiped the ball, but at least they tried.
For the Packers, Estes Hood and Bill Whitaker come in. Mark Murphy goes out. They're going with a 5 defensive back and a 4-man front with Ezra Johnson. David Williams, 22, is the fullback, and 3 wide men in there for Chicago. Fumble made at the 34, and a loose ball. Bears recover, but they'll have to kick. Some of the
That's Michael Douglas saying, I got the ball, I'm going.
He says, you can't play without this. They got a lot on the sidelines. Mike, don't worry about it.
And they had a little trouble on the snap that time. Evans never did get control of the ball.
So Mike Douglas, we haven't mentioned his name too many times, but he has been an active pursuing linebacker this year as Bob Parsons kicks from the 15. Ron Cassidy and Mark Lee. Lee is the deeper of the two, with 6:26 remaining in the half, and a good spiral, not very high. And Mark Lee, who returned one for a touchdown last week, gets a few, and that's all, before Brian Cabral makes the tackle. So the Packers are leading it 14-10, trying to sweep the Bears for the first time since 1972. And Green Bay has it following that 42-yard kick and the 5-yard return. Well, more exciting NFL action next week, and these are the central games that mean a lot to us, John. We'll be in Chicago for the Lions and Bears. Green Bay is at Tampa Bay.
A couple of good games, and the Bears will be glad to get home. They've been on the road for 3 straight games.
So the NFL today will start it all off on a big Sunday of NFL football on CBS Sports. Check your local listing. Let's see if they throw on first down. They have been successful 4 out of 5 times throwing on first down. At the 37, the Packers 1st and 10. Lofton left, Jefferson right. Whitehurst is going up top to John Jefferson, and the pass is almost intercepted by Terry Schmidt, but knocked away as Whitehurst was determined to go to Jefferson no matter what. And Schmidt was there on the coverage. The ball was a little bit overthrown. He almost had the interception, but he was on the coverage, and he covered Mr. Jefferson very well. And that's why Terry Schmidt is underrated. Now, I had a little inside help there from Fensick, but once he goes beyond this short safety, it's all Terry Schmidt's man. The Packers had success with quick tosses outside. They haven't gone back to that. 2nd and 10, and Harlan Huckleby gets ahead of steam and has a first down, and he is tackled by Otis Wilson in devastating fashion, and awfully close. The crowd thinks to a face mask call, but no penalty marker is down. Huckleby is having a terrific afternoon. He has caught 2 touchdown passes and has run for another first down.
Yes, it was a high tackle. He hit him around the neck, but they rule he did not grab the face mark. You can hit him in the head if you're making the tackle, but you can't grab that mask. No call, and it's first down Green Bay.
Jefferson to the top. Lofton split to the bottom. 1st and 10 at the 49-yard line. Packers in their own territory. Play action and pressure by Alan Page, and the pass is incomplete. Jefferson to the top. Lofton split to the bottom. 1st and 10 at the 49-yard line. Packers in their own territory. Play action and pressure by Alan Page, and the pass is incomplete. They wanted to go to the tight end Kaufman, but Alan Page turned that play around for the Bears.
He also got a little necktie tackle there and kind of distracted Whitehurst for a moment, at just enough so that he couldn't throw that pass accurately. David Whitehurst, out of Furman, born in Germany.
And like you pointed out, he must have come from the military family because of some of the areas he's lived in.
Yes, he grew up in Decatur, Georgia. That's pretty close to, what's that fort down there? Fort Benning.
2nd and 10 at the 49 for the Packers. Huckleby. Huckleby, again, a first down inside the 40. And Gary Campbell made the stop, and once again, one of those high-arm tackles that look dangerous. But Harlan Huckleby is picking up 10, 11, 12 yards at a clip. That was a 12-yard gain for Huckleby. And a Green Bay first down inside the 40 with 5 minutes to go in the half as Huckleby gets ovation. He's replaced by Turdell Middleton, who is the 3rd leading rusher, gained 147 yards this season, no touchdowns. At the 39, 1st and 10, an audible by Whitehurst. Penalty marker and a flag. Pass is incomplete. They were going to Ellis out of the backfield. Singletary knocked it away, but the penalty first. Dick Stockton and Johnny Morris at Lambeau Field, and what a game we've got between these rivals. The legal procedure call against the Packers will make it a 1st and 15 now.
And you know that it's going to go down to the 4th quarter. Something's going to happen to cause one team to win or the other.
It's a fluke, huh?
Yeah, well, they had the Suey fumble in the first game. Last year they had Chester Marco's field goal blocked, and
Illegal motion, 80
the Packers ran it on in, and then there was a game that was a 61-7 washout. Always something out of the ordinary happens when these two teams play.
Lofton was the guilty party, but the Bears declined a penalty, making it 2nd and 10 at the 40. Interesting.
Yes, it is.
Bears in a 5-1-5. So they'd rather cut a down off of Green Bay's scheme than get the yards.
Now the linebacker, Otis Wilson, is probably going to have to cover Kaufman. Now he goes, spreads out, and they switch over, and you see 55 on 82.
Quick toss out to the tight end. Kaufman slides out of bounds. He picked up maybe 3 yards at the most. Gary Fensick was covering. It stopped the clock with 4 minutes and 28 seconds to go in the half. It'll be 3rd and 7 now for the Packers as Paul Kaufman comes back. He was a free agent out of Kansas State. Actually, John Meyer, the defensive coordinator, went to see a fellow named Gary Spaney, a linebacker who's now with Kansas City, and Kaufman begged for a tryout, and he has been the regular tight end now for Green Bay. 3rd and 7 at the 37. 4-1-6 defensive secondary. 6 backs in there and 4 down linemen for the Bears. Whitehurst, his pass, Lofton, he's got it. First down at the 22. Covered by Reuben Henderson, and Gary Fensick makes the stop. And Lofton, who caught 3 in a row early in the first quarter, catches another one.
Big day for James Lofton. They only caught a couple for 12 yards last week, and now is coming forward. He had 44 passes going into the game, and as you can see, pretty good pass protection, a 4-man rush. You'll see Jefferson downfield to clear out as Lofton came down and out, and Jefferson was further down the field, 83, and there it was, the tackle by Fensick, but not before Green Bay has a first down.
6 backs defending here.
Right, you can see that zone defense all the way.
First and 10 at the 22 for the Packers, and Gary Ellis is tackled by Otis Wilson, but gets a few and gets inside the 20. Getting back to Lofton. Lofton has caught 4 passes for 67 yards. He's the leading receiver in the game. Huckabee, the leading rusher for the Packers with 43 yards. Peyton has 37, and look at that one. Oakland shocking Miami 21-0. But Buffalo, they don't take advantage. They're going to still be behind. 2nd and 5 at the 17. And here is Gary Ellis. Singletary had some help. Brings them down at the 10. Another first down for the Packers. And Green Bay, in the seesaw game, Gary Ellis carrying twice, now threatening to score again.
Watch the left side, 69, Leotis Harris and Tim Stokes over there on the left side, and Daryl Goforth, 57, throwing the block on Plank. They just pushed that side of the Bears defensive line right out to the sidelines and went right up the field for the first down before Singletary was in on the tackle.
The LA Rams' last cut was Gary Ellis, and he's found a home in Green Bay. First and 10 at the 10-yard line. And Turdell Middleton inside the 5 to the 3. And the tackle inside the 3. I'll tell you, the Packers are finding.
And there was an amazing hole in there as Otis Wilson, 55, was right in the hole, and Middleton went right by him. He couldn't spot the carry. Now watch 55 come in and fill the hole. Ellis will hit him. Right there, 55 ran right by the hole, and Middleton got through there and takes it down to the 2-yard line.
Doug Plank makes the stop, and now we have a 2-minute warning right now as Whitehurst goes to the sideline, and the Packers.
Pro, he attended Bucknell, 4th leading rusher in Packer history with 3,860 yards. Clark Hinkle.
All right, the Packers right now are relying on David Whitehurst. 2nd and goal at the 2-yard line. Turdell Middleton lost the ball. I believe he recovered his own fumble. But it'll be 3rd and short now. And so the Bears trying to tighten up as Middleton almost lost it inside. The Bears have Steve McMichael, number 76 from Texas, who normally is a nose tackle in there.
Well, let's see what Bart Starr and Zeke Bratkowski come up with now. 3rd and 2. Will they throw or will they run? That, they're going to do one of two things, I guess.
And it won't drop kick. They did in those days, though. 3rd and goal at the 2-yard line. Whitehurst all alone. Touchdown. Turdell Middleton. Wide open.
That one ended up being so easy, they almost blew it as the pass was a little bit short. There was a mix-up in the Bear defense because he was wide open out in the flat, and the Bears had pressure on Whitehurst. He just dumped it up and over, and somebody made a mistake out there because there's no way a player should be all by himself like that. Turdell Middleton, touchdown Green Bay.
And for Middleton, his first touchdown reception for Whitehurst, number 3 in the ball game.
He made sure of that grab, didn't he?
Stenerud adds the point after, and so the Packers have opened up 21. As the Bears duel the Lions in the Central Division action as Stenerud gets set to kick off. And on the receiving end will be Emery Moorhead, number 43 for the Bears. 1:17 remaining.
Very high kick.
And it's taken there by Leslie Frazier. And Frazier stopped at the 25.
Estes Hood on the tackle as the Bears will now go into a 2-minute offense. There's 1:12 left in this first half.
Well, coming up at halftime, Brenton Erb with scores and highlights, and Jack Whitaker's Legends of the Game featuring Frank Gifford. Also an unusual appraisal of each other's abilities. Tony Dorsett of the Cowboys and Billy Sims of the Lions talk about each other with obvious respect. And don't forget, they're going to be clashing head-on after this game. Dorsett and the Cowboys against Sims and the Lions. 1st and 10 at the 25 for Evans, and his pass to Walter Payton, but Wingo is there. at the 28-yard line, and it'll only turn out to be a 3-yard pickup. Timeouts remaining. The Bears have all of theirs. The Packers have 2. Lining up quickly. Williams out of the backfield. Penalty marker down. Payton could not hold on as Cumbie hit him. It'll be 3rd down, but the penalty first. It's against Chicago. Now, what do the Packers do?
Well, they can either have it be 2nd and about 12, or they could have it be 3rd and 6.
Illegal motion, 80 offense, penalty refused. 3rd down.
Well,
I think I'd agree with that. Give him one more down, and if you can hold him this one down, you got him in a spot rather than giving them the extra down. As Neil Armstrong, worried and rightly so, talking to Freddie Cato, the trainer of the Chicago Bears, so apparently he's inquiring about somebody's injury.
3rd and 7 at the 28. Evans is back, has time, he runs, and he gets away. He has a 1st down. Vince Evans into midfield and is down there. And the Bears immediately call one of their 3 remaining timeouts with 39 seconds. Bears had a good week of practice. 1st and 10 at midfield. Packers try to put pressure on Evans. It gets the ball away, incomplete to Walter Payton. Not much Payton could have done there, as the linebacker George Cumbie was right with Walter. So the clock now shows 34 seconds at 2nd and 10.
There are so many times that Payton comes out in the flat, and especially in these 2-minute situations where he is the safety valve receiver. In other words, where Evans is looking downfield and can't find him. The best way to throw it, he was open and open and open, but finally when Evans decided he's my safety valve, he was covered. If you're going to throw to Payton, you throw it to him and design the play, and he'll run the 40 or 50 yards from him, but not as a safety valve. Your other backs are your safety valve receivers.
Packers in a 4-2-5 as the inside linebackers come out. And a whistle with 32 seconds.
False start, 64 offense. False
You know, the
start.
Bears have been called for too many of those procedure and false start calls so far today.
The Bears have more penalty yardage this year than most teams. I think they have 650 yards in penalties. Just to give you an idea, the Packers had 420 some going in, so that's almost 230 yards more in penalties, and that starts to tell on you through the course of a season.
John, that's the biggest statistical gap between the 2 clubs. 2nd and 15 at the 45. Baschnagel wide right, Watts to the left. With 30 seconds to go, up the middle, Ricky Watts, loose ball, and it was Mark Murphy who jarred Watts. It was a good throw. Watts was there, but so was Murphy, and it'll be 3rd and 15 with 27 seconds to go. What a hit by Murphy.
Let's take a look at the coverage on Watts. He gets away from the jam by McCoy, and there is Murphy downfield to pick him up on this kind of coverage late in the half, and he does a nice job filling in very well for the injured Johnny Gray. Mark Murphy.
An interception and a 39-yard return would set up the Packers' 2nd touchdown here in the 2nd quarter. So it's 3rd and 15, 27 seconds remaining in the 1st half. Evans to the air again, and this time his pass is knocked away, intended for Baschnagel. Estes Hood, the 5th defensive back, made a fine play.
He had 2 interceptions last week. Estes Hood is really coming on as the Bears are going to be forced to punt with 23 seconds left, and the half is not over. If the Packers could get some kind of a decent return and complete one pass, they might pick up a field goal. Who knows? They may just sit it out with 21-10 lead. They may just go in the locker room and say, we've had enough.
Well, they've been cheering the defense, and the defense comes off the field. They've done their job. Parsons will kick. Here's Ron Cassidy. What's his hobby?
He likes to watch soap operas. I couldn't believe that. He listed that as a hobby, so we asked him about it.
Ron Cassidy. And there's a mix-up in the backfield, and McCoy was backing up, and Cassidy was coming up. And this is what gives coaches gray hair. And we have an injured Bear down. Al Harris is shaken up, but getting up under his own power. There's the clock with the time remaining. It'll be 1st and 10 at the 18. I have to agree. I think the Packers would just want to use up the time following the 37-yard punt by Parsons.
Yes, if they had gotten a decent return or something like that, they might have changed their thinking. As Al Harris goes off the field and doesn't appear to be too serious.
So the 125th meeting Harris goes off of this rivalry. Began in 1921, and we've been showing you some of the stars and some of the people, the coaches that have played a role in this Bear-Packer rivalry, which started in 1921.
And you know they have had sellouts every game since 1959. Now that's what you call fandom.
You know, the Papa Bear, George Halas, of course, he would do anything to beat the Green Bay Packers, wouldn't he?
There's never been any love lost between the Packers and Bears, but that's healthy, right? You play to win.
All right, don't forget Brennan Erb with scores and highlights. Coming up at halftime, and we have 14 seconds till half as Whitehurst gives to Ellis. Clock is running, and they're going to let it run down apparently. Doug Plank made the stop, and listen to the crowd. They're enthused about this game, and why not? We're here at Lambeau Field, and Green Bay leading Chicago 21-10. Jan Stenerud boots the ball, and Emery Moorhead is deep for the Bears at the 5-yard line. Bears are down by 11, and the penalty marker is down as we get to the 22-yard line. We'll check out the penalty in a moment. Usually it's a sign that there may be clipping or holding, and that's the case against the Chicago Bears.
So the Chicago Bears will start with bad field position to start this second half from their own 10.5-yard line.
Illegal block above the waist from the rear, number 37 on the run back. First down.
That was on Willie McClendon, so it's first down. And boy, I tell you, we needed our pom-poms here with all the enthusiasm.
That's right. Look, Mom, no overcoat in Green Bay.
Who expected that in the second week of November? But we hope you're enjoying the game, and the Bears have the ball at the 11-yard line, first and 10, trailing by 11. Peyton 34, Suey 26 are the running backs, and Walter Payton tries to go outside. Good rumble, with little luck. He fumbled, and it was picked up again by Waller. George Cumby made the tackle, and he's been an active linebacker today.
And give some credit to Mark Murphy, who strung the play out and did a good job. As you look at the first half statistics, the Packers in total yards 196 to 148. Offensive plays pretty even. Actually, the stats aren't that far apart.
Time of possession is kind of even. The turnovers are even, although Mark Murphy's interception set up the big touchdown. Here's Vince Evans, who is 7 for 16 for 79 yards and 1 interception. On the 11, Suey cuts inside and gets to the 15-yard line before Mike Butler makes the stop.
Butler played down the line, and I know that Suey saw him coming. He had a wide open shot at him. Good play by 77.
Well, that's what Evans has done today, and Whitehurst has had a glorious afternoon. 3 touchdown passes, 9 for 21, but compared to what Evans did last week, this isn't a bad game either. He only completed 7 last week.
That's right. And you know, the last time the Packers had a winning season, David Whitehurst was the quarterback.
1978. 3rd and 6 at the 15-yard line, and 3 wide receivers are in for the Bears. Instead they go to a draw. Matt Suey, and he gets to the 22-yard line. George Cumby makes the tackle, and it'll be a first down for the Bears. So a good call there by Evans. Cumby, there you see him from Oklahoma. He was out with an ankle injury virtually all of last year.
And we have to give Matt Suey some credit. That was good hard-nosed running by Suey. That wasn't a big hole for him. He just pounded his way through as you look at...
Is that a Packer fan?
That's Green Bay's number 1 fan.
We've already seen their number 1
He sacrificed his looks for that.
I don't want to be there when he has to wash that off. 1st and 10 at the 22. And the pitch goes to Payton. And Payton, following a wall of blockers, which closes up in a hurry. Wingo and Butler and Cumby were all over there. It looked like Payton was going to fake a throw. Did you see that?
No, I didn't notice that. I was watching Mark Murphy, 37, and he is doing a heck of a job on those end runs for Green Bay. He's getting out there in the flat very quickly and kind of stacking it up and allowing his other teammates to come over and make the tackle. Number 37, Mark Murphy, doing a good job.
Mark Murphy, who made the big interception. So Walter Payton, who in the first half, or right now, has 40 yards and 11 carries, over 9,000 yards, 4th leading all-time rusher.
He's not wearing gloves today because the weather is so good. He normally wears 1 or 2 gloves.
2nd and 8 at the 24 for the Bears, trailing 21-10. in the third quarter. Peyton cutting and juking and close to a first down. Mark Murphy coming up and making the hit to prevent Peyton getting the obvious first down, but they have it anyway. So Waller picks up the first. Peyton has gained 100 yards in only one game this year, and that was in the overtime victory over San Diego. Casey Merrill and Ezra Johnson alternating, and Merrill is in there now. Two tight ends for Chicago as you look at Bart Starr and Zeke Bratkowski. Starr, the great legend quarterback here, but it seems that everyone since Lombardi has had trouble in this coaching seat. First and 10, 33. Pitch to Peyton. Suey blocking. Waller Peyton around side. It's a first down. And knocked out of bounds by Maurice Harvey, the free safety, who was acquired right before the season started from the Denver Broncos.
And you mentioned Suey blocking. He did a good job on that. Number 26, Matt Suey. And there's Harvey. But the Bears have decided, apparently, that they're going to come out the second half and run that ball and try and run it right down the Packers' throat. As you look at Walter Payton with 43 100-yard games, he's second to the legendary Jim Brown.
And right now Peyton has 65 yards following that 16-yard pickup. First and 10 for the Bears on their own 49. Opening minutes here, third quarter. And Peyton, they're going Peyton left, Peyton right, but it's been working so far as Waller collides at the 45-yard line. And a gain of a good 6. Maurice Harvey coming up from free safety. So Peyton now is 70 yards, and he has a head of steam going, John.
Well, we're seeing a steady diet of two tight end situations, too, for the extra blocking. Cobb and Earl are both in there, running off the I formation most of the times with one receiver, or at least one wide receiver. And it's strictly power football.
Keep in mind the number of plays. The Bears had 100 plays against San Diego in one. They had 91 against Kansas City in one. So we'll keep track of that at second and 4 at the 45. And Suey goes nowhere. Barely gets back to the line of scrimmage as John Anderson, number 59, from Michigan, who you see the cast. He had a bone graft from the hip to his arm. He's broken his arm the last 3 years.
And he played off the block by Robin Earl. See, when you have those two tight end situations, you try and bring that forces those linebackers in there a little tighter, and you try to get that blocking situation that you want. Now they're not in the I formation.
Third and 4 at the 45. 5 defensive backs in there for the Packers. And they're trying to put pressure on Evans. And Mike Butler. Recovered by Chicago, but Mike Butler and Ezra Johnson came in, but it was Buzz Butler that got an arm on Vince Evans, and recovering the ball was Emmanuel Sanders, the defensive left guard. Make it the right guard. And then whatever he is, made the recovery.
That's right, he got the ball. However, the Bears are going to be forced to punt thanks to Green Bay's effort by Butler and Ezra Johnson. Good pass rush.
So the Packers stop, and Parsons with his 5th punt of the afternoon upcoming, and Ron Cassidy. Good high kick by Parsons, and a fair catch called for at the 10-yard line.
A little mix-up in the communications there because he probably shouldn't have tried to fair catch.
Who was 5-11 2 years ago, 5-10-1 last year, and 4-6 in this game. First and 10 on the 10, and Gary Ellis changes direction and gets good yardage, close to a first down at the 20 before Otis Wilson from Louisville makes the tackle for the Chicago Bears.
Good heads-up running by Ellis. He kept his eyes open because it got a little bit jammed. He had good blocks from McCarron. Leotos Harris came across, and he came back against the grain, got himself some yards. Good heads-up running.
Lofton with 4 catches. Huckabee and Kaufman each with 2. It's second and 1. At the 20-yard line, Harlan Huckabee does not make it, I don't believe, as Jim Osborne just took him, picked him up, and threw him down. So it'll be third down, and coming in now for the Packers, Gary Lewis, number 81, and also number 33, Jim Jensen, who was the leading receiver and ball carrier for the Denver Broncos last year. Now with the Packers, and with Rick Parrish coming on the scene in Denver, Jensen became expendable.
Well, an obvious running situation to get the first down, but do you remember so many times? I can never forget it all those times because I saw it happen. Bart Starr, 3rd and 1.
Play action pass.
Play action pass.
Max McGee, Boyd Dollar, right?
Paul Horning out of the backfield.
They're short by the length of a football.
Maybe they could send Starr in for this one play. No?
Hey, take off that sweater.
Whitehurst
Who knows
can do
what's
it.
under that sweater? Speaking about Denver, they're leading Tampa Bay 14-7. And don't forget, next week the Packers will go against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. Minnesota with a 1-game lead over Tampa Bay, 2 games over Detroit and Green Bay coming into this afternoon's action, and the Bears at 3-7. And keep in mind, coming up next, most of you will see the Lions against the Dallas Cowboys. So it's 3rd and 1 at the 20-yard line. Gary Ellis has the first down. Dan Hampton got him, but a little bit too late, and so the Pack continues possession as Lofton and Jefferson come back in. Dan Hampton from Arkansas says, boy, I came so close to getting him, but he was short.
One thing the Packers are doing is eating up this third quarter in a big hurry. There's only 7:37 left in the third quarter, and it seems like it just started.
They probably realize what it's like to be in a Bear-Packer game. There shouldn't be this much scoring, and now they're reverting. So John Jefferson is split left. Lofton to the right at the 22, 1st and 10. Whitehurst play action. And Ellis incomplete. I got to give Whitehurst a lot of credit because he saw Huckabee was open as a safety valve out of the backfield, but he still wanted to force the ball and get it upfield.
He hung in the pocket for a long time. Then he threw it he zipped it pretty hard there for such a short pass as he's looking to the sidelines to Zeke Bredkowski for the signal on this second play. But I still like the call. First down. A lot of teams, when you're ahead 21-10, would run the ball and try and get some drives going that way. He threw on first. I love it. Jets 17-3 over New England in the third quarter. The Jets were 5-4-1 going into this game.
And Buffalo was struggling against St. Louis. The Jets could move up. 2nd and 10 at the 22-yard line. Harlan Huckabee gets to the 21. Dan Hampton and Otis Wilson combine to make the stop. Despite the fact that the Packers have 21 points on the board, the Bears' defense has not been bad this afternoon.
I think Whitehurst has done a good job of throwing to the right receiver on a lot of these situations where they completed these key passes. Most of the key passes that you look back and think of in the first half, he was throwing to a one-on-one coverage as opposed to a few times Evans threw into the 2-on-1 coverage. Sometimes you can't avoid it, but that is a good sign that the quarterback has a handle on what the defense is doing.
Packers 3 for 8 in third down conversions. And a 4-1-6 defense for the Bears. They have 6 defensive backs, and Whitehurst's pass is incomplete in no man's land. Lofton was deeper than Jefferson, but it was right in the middle, and a penalty marker down at about the line of scrimmage, and a holding call is against the Packers on 3rd and 10, and I would think the Bears would take that.
No, they'll probably refuse and force him to punt.
Down. I'm sorry, that's right. 4th down. I'm not that much of a gambler. Stockowitz will punt from the 7-yard line. Ray Stockowitz will be kicking to Jeff Fisher, who's a single safety at the 40. Ray's had a good afternoon.
Now, if he notices Jeff Fisher is on the right hash mark, he should kick over to the left of the left hash mark to make Fisher he might be able to get a by him or at least make him go way over to one side. But
good kick, though. Very good kick. And Fisher is at the 35, gets by Whitaker, but a whole host of Green Bay jerseys come over, and Fisher, on his own, returns it in pretty good fashion to the 47-yard line. So the Bears will have the Packers, but the Bears have the ball, 1st and 10 at their 47-yard line. Evans to the air, and he's going deep for Ricky Watts, and it is intercepted by Mark Lee. Mark Lee returns it to the 30. And down at the 30-yard line by Keith Van Horn. 28-yard return by second-year Mark Lee from the University of Washington.
And he had Ricky Watts covered all the way, playing off deep, and he just watched the ball, and it was a little bit off the mark, and not a pun on the words, but Mark got it, and you're going to see a block by number 78, Casey Merrill, on Matt Suey, number 26, 78 on 26, coming up right there. Boom! And that was really some kind of block as the Green Bay Packers have the ball in good field position.
And the Packers have it 1st and 10 on their 30-yard line. Lofton and Jefferson wide left. Ellis and Huckleby, the setbacks. And Jefferson goes in motion. And Gary Ellis finds a hole. And Singletary finally stops him at the 35-yard line to pick up a 4. The Packers have had a change in the offensive line. Mark Concar, who has been hurt, has been out. And Tim Stokes, number 76, has replaced him at left tackle, and he's been in there for quite some time.
And he threw a good block on Al Harris that time. As you look at the Minnesota Vikings score over New Orleans, now 13-3. The Vikings were 6-4 going in, so a victory keeps them in pretty good shape if they hang on to win that one. There's Pittsburgh 21-10 over Atlanta in the 3rd.
2nd and 6 at the 35 now for the Packers. The lights are on here at Lambeau Field as it begins to get slightly overcast as Harlan Huckleby puts on some steam and gets to the 40-yard line, a yard short of a 1st down, and the free safety Doug Plank came in to make the play. So this is a big day for Huckleby, who has now carried 10 times for 47 yards. Make it 48 for Huckleby, the former Michigan star.
He's done a pretty good job. As you know, Eddie Lee Ivory was injured at the first game of the year against Chicago. He's had all those knee problems, and Huckleby has done a good job with some help from Turdell Middleton.
Steve McMichael, number 76 from Texas, is coming there now for the Bears as a 5th down lineman. Gary Lewis is in there as a 2nd tight end. 3rd and 1 at the 40. Whitehurst, the quarterback. And Harlan Huckleby has a 1st down. Hampton the tackle, but not before Huckleby picks up another 1st down for the Packers, and it's 50 yards on the day for Harlan.
He put his nose in there that time, didn't he? He was coming off. It was actually an off-tackle play. He saw a little daylight cutting up the field and got there and got the 1st down. As Bart Starr says, I like it, I like it.
Bart Starr says he went with Whitehurst just as a gut feeling. He doesn't believe in changing quarterbacks because of injury as far as their status is concerned. 1st down's virtually even. The score is not. Packers 21, Bears 10. Under 4 minutes to play here in the 3rd quarter as Whitehurst is going up top to James Lofton. And it's overthrown as Henderson and Doug Plank were covering on the play. Don't forget, following this game, and most of you will see, the clash between the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan.
We were talking to David yesterday. He was here at the after practice. It must have been 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 hours after practice was over, and he was watching game films.
Tonight on CBS starts with 60 Minutes, and then it's Archie Bunker's Place in One Day at a Time. Stay tuned for Alice and the Jeffersons, followed by Trapper John M.D. It's all tonight on CBS. Bears in a 5-1-5 defense. 2nd and 10, 43. 3:44 to go, 3rd quarter. Lofton overthrown. Terry Schmidt was with him step for step. It'll be 3rd down.
That was the same play they tried early in the game that was successful. Just so that quick one before the safety can get over there and just beyond the cornerback. Didn't quite work that time. James Lofton. There he is. Terry Schmidt, 44 on the coverage. He actually got about a half a step, but the ball was slightly overthrown. James Lofton, who is a business partner of Kenny Marjoram. They have I guess a real estate deal going out of Stanford. Kenny Marjoram broke James Lofton's records at Stanford. That's doing something.
As well as Tony Hill and Gene Washington's record. 4-1-6 defense. That means 6 defensive backs in there for Chicago. And Alan Page puts the chase on Whitehurst, and Gary Ellis drops the ball. I don't think he was going to go far because the Bears had Bruce Herron, number 51, ready to get him.
But he was the only one there. If they had gotten a block on Herron, that could have gone for big yardage. But there was pressure, and it did not work as Bruce Herron got in the middle of the screen. To stop Green Bay's drive, the Packers will be forced to punt.
And the man who made it all happen was Alan Page. As you look at Stockowitz, Page is retiring after this year. And Jeff Fisher is at the 15-yard line. So we've had a scoreless 3rd quarter thus far. Fisher, the 15. And gets to the 21.
Boy, there was a penalty there, but they didn't call it. I think Willie McClendon might have blocked Bill Whitaker in the back.
crowd,
everybody in the stands saw it except the officials.
so, two tight ends, Mike Cobb and Robin Earl for the Bears. At 1st and 10 on the 21. In motion is Basnagel, 84. And here's Walter Payton. And I'll tell you, Mark Lee was the man that stopped that play. He didn't make the tackle, but Mark Lee forced Payton to leap, and it was Mike Douglas who put the tackle on him. But good pressure from the secondary for the Packers on that play.
The Bears have got to try to get some way to prevent Mark Lee from getting up there so quickly to jam up what they're trying to do. And if they're going to continue to try and run Payton off the I formation around the ends against this 3-4 defense, you better start hitting somebody there.
2nd and 10 at the 21. Marjoram wide right. Ricky Watts to the left. Suey and Payton the backs. And Evans is going for Ricky Watts, and he throws it out of bounds. Double coverage out there by McCoy and Harvey. And Evans got some pressure there. So the Green Bay Packers have not put a lot of pressure on opposing quarterbacks as far as sacks, but they're pressuring Evans a bit today. Estes Hood comes in as a 5th defensive back. Murphy goes out, so Whitaker also comes in for Green Bay. That's been their alignment today.
The Bears had suffered only 6 sacks in the last 6 games. So their sack percentage has gotten better and better on offense.
David Williams is in as Neil Armstrong and Mark Jabro to talk on the sidelines. 3 wide receivers and Williams 22. 3rd and 10 at the 21-yard line with 2:36 to go in the 3rd quarter. Dave Williams out of the backfield, but he is hit immediately, and a loose ball, and it is still Chicago ball, but Mike Douglas, the man that the Packers are starting to say has all-pro potential, made the hit on Williams.
And I think Dave Williams might have hurt his knee again. As the backs came out of the backfield and crisscrossed, Payton and Dave Williams crisscrossed about 2 yards down the field, and he chose Williams on the pattern, and he was hit. And that's too bad, because he's gone through a lot of suffering in the last few weeks, and it looks like he took it again. Davey Williams, cut loose by the 49ers, played up in Canada for a while, and his return.
Dave Williams on the bench, and we saw Don Hudson, who, by the way, still holds the NFL record for most touchdown catches in a career, 99. As we go back into history in this Packer-Bears series, Parsons to punt. This is the 125th game in 60 years. And the Bears lead at 66-51 in 6 ties, but the Packers lead here, and Mark Lee is going to the 26-yard line to get that ball. And dropped at the 35. So we have 1 minute and 50 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. It has been a scoreless 3rd period. After the seesaw, first half ended up with Green Bay in front 21-10. A 51-yard kick for Parsons, who is having a terrific afternoon, John.
Yes, he's steady as she goes. Steady as she goes. He punts high, he punts far, he can punt short, punt out of bounds inside the 20. In fact, he leads the conference in kicks inside the 20 that go out of bounds.
Out to 35 for the Packers, 1st and 10. Beautiful afternoon for football here. Temperatures in the 50s, and on the draw play, Harlan Huckleby gets to the 35, back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all, and a penalty marker is down. Maybe a late hit on the Bears.
They're calling it on Gary Fensick. However, the whistle had not blown, and unless they're calling for a spearing, the whistle definitely had not blown when Fensick put the hit on him.
Fensick is arguing to no avail. Let's pick up Gene Barth.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, 45 defense, a late hit.
It's on Fensick. Automatic 1st down brings the ball to the 49 of Chicago. And now the Bears have to be careful, as we'll take a look at that play, to make sure that the Packers don't score.
Well, it will appear to be a late hit on this replay, but the whistle had not blown when Fensick came in to make that hit on his way down.
1st and 10, Packers. Whitehurst hit, but gets rid of it to Lofton out of bounds. Pressure coming in from Hampton and Alan Page. They get Osborne. So far, Whitehurst is 9 for 26, 140 yards, 3 touchdown passes, and the savvy veteran Alan Page in his last year,
15 years, never missed a game in all that career. Out of Notre Dame, of course, played for the Vikings for so many years, and has really helped the Bears the last 2 or 3 years.
Whitehurst told us, you got to watch out for Page. He knows when to get in there, when to not, knows about the counts. He makes up a lot for his experience, I'll tell you that. Whitehurst's pass is dropped by Lofton out of bounds. He had it, and he dropped it at the 39. Reuben Henderson defending on the play, so it'll be 3rd down.
The reason he dropped that, for any youngsters who are watching, was that he put his hands out to catch the ball rather than bring it in. Now watch, this ball is going to come right into his shoulder pads and his stomach, but he's not going to wait for it. He's going to put his hands out in front of it and catch it first. And that is not the proper technique to catch a football. Let the ball come in and then catch the ball rather than stick those hands out for it.
Todd Bell and Jeff Fisher are into the secondary, so there are 6 defensive backs and 4 down linemen with Hartenstein in there. 3rd and 10 at the 49-yard line. And that's what the Bears are doing. They're showing a safety blitz, and the pass up the middle. The Lofton is complete, and a 1st down at the 37. Doug Plank hit Lofton, but not before the former Stanford star has a 1st down.
Did you see him kind of mess up Doug Plank's hair afterwards? The Bears put the blitz on. Everybody coming up the middle. Lofton concentrates on the ball, takes Plank's hit, and it was a tough one. Now stick with it, and you'll see him get up and tap Mr. Plank right on the head. Good, tough, hard-nosed football by James Lofton on this one as he got away from Terry Schmidt. And 46 is going to come into your picture, and this is what he's famous for. He'll hit you. He'll hit you. And Lofton took it, got up, and said, 1st down. Thanks, Doug.
Lofton, 5 catches for 80 yards. Huckleby has caught 3 TD passes, and Gary Ellis tries to go outside and can't. A fumble. And the Bears apparently have recovered. I think Al Harris picked up the loose ball, and Chicago apparently has blunted the Packer threat there. They have, and that's a big play for the Bears because another touchdown at this stage might have made things dim for Chicago. They're down by 11 as it is, but now they have a respite.
And Neil Armstrong's happy about that. There's no question this game has still got a long ways to go. We're not even in the 4th quarter yet. As the Bears force a turnover, you're going to see a pretty good block there by Harlan Huckleby on Gary Campbell. Then Ellis goes to the outside trying to play off his block by Tim Stokes, and finally the ball is stripped away by Otis Wilson. 55 is the man who really gets credit for stripping it, and Al Harris said, look, I got the ball. So he takes off, and he's going to lateral to Doug Plank. There he is. Good heads-up football.
That's the first fumble for Ellis since the opening game of the year. Pretty good record. Evans fakes the pass. Casey Merrill is chasing him, and he's going to go deep for Marjoram. Incomplete. Marjoram was back there. But so is Mark Lee and Mike McCoy.
What an arm. Evans threw that ball 60 yards. 60 yards off balance, and he spotted the man way downfield, across the field, and threw it. As the Packers were just not able to get through there. Terry Jones was double-teamed, and Evans just so quickly goes back here. Now he's running this way, and he's going to throw the ball 60 yards. You measure, get out the tape measure, and there it is. And good double coverage as Mark Lee was there, and Marjoram could not make the grab. Mike McCoy also on the coverage.
So Evans is now 7 for 20. He was 7 for 30 against Kansas City. He has 79 yards, 2nd and 10 at the 46-yard line. Less than 30 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. Pass to Suey. He's still going. And Matt Suey, with the second effort, has a 1st down for the Bears at the 43-yard line. Terry Jones and Mark Murphy combine to make the stop. So following the fumble by Ellis, who had fumbled twice in the opening game against the Bears, a completed pass to Matt Suey. And
Still at 60 degrees
that's
out
right.
there. Yeah.
They don't show me anything. 1st and 10 as we start the 4th quarter for the Bears. Walter Payton, who gets inside the 40-yard line. Dick Stockton and Johnny Morris here in Lambeau Field. And other scores around the league. And let's start off as Payton goes back to the huddle with the game we're watching, the Minnesota game.
The Saints 20-3 in the 4th quarter. Looks like they're going to win their 7th game of the year. The AFC over the NFC. Denver 24-7 over Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers would fall 2 games behind the Vikings.
2nd and 5 at the 38, and Philadelphia rolling it up over Baltimore. Suey, and a fine play. Terry Jones, he's had a good game as the nose tackle. Terry Jones, number 63.
He ran right over Dan Neal, the center, and just busted his way through there and jammed that play up. Good play by Terry Jones to put the Bears into a passing situation.
Jones was an 11th round draft choice. He's in his 4th year. Bill Whitaker comes in as the 5th back.
Look at that. There is 63 coming across 52, and he hits Matsui and knocks him down. And now the Bears will be forced to throw into a big zone coverage.
3rd and 8 and 3 wide receivers. 2 of them to the left, Bosnagel and Marjoram. And Evans is looking to the other side for Ricky Watts, and he has a first down at the 25. Ricky Watts is hit by Mark Murphy, but not before Watts has caught his 3rd pass of the afternoon. It's good for 16 yards.
Good play by Watts because there were green jerseys all around. Evans threaded the needle on this here, put it up there. He leaped up there and made sure of the grab and then took his punishment. First down, Chicago at the 25.
Merrill is back on defense, a 3-4 for Green Bay with their normal complement of 4 defensive backs. 1st and 10 at the 25 for Chicago. Evans dumps it off to Payton. Payton scoots to the 20-yard line. So it'll be 2nd and about 6 yards. It'll be 2nd down. Now for an NFL Today report. Let's go to Brent Musburger in New York.
Dick, the Cincinnati Bengals have gone to their big man in this situation. Pete Johnson, the former star from Ohio State. He goes in for the touchdown. The Bengals lead the Rams 17-3. Ray Malavasi's job could be very much in jeopardy. Let's go back to you in Green Bay.
All right, Brent, and Cincinnati heading for their 8th win in 11 starts. And a surprise in the Central Division this year. Walter Payton up the middle. Gets to the 10-yard line, a first down. Maurice Harvey made the stop on him. So Payton getting inside, and the Bears with that big pass to Watts, setting up a touchdown they need with a lot of time to go here early in the 4th.
And you said the key word. The Bears need a touchdown, not a field goal in this situation, being down 11 points.
Payton has been the workhorse, 18 carries for 91 yards. Mark Gibrota, former head coach with the Baltimore Colts. But he has been around as an assistant with many clubs. 1st and goal at the 9 for the Bears. Here's Waller. Gets a yard, that's it.
What a play by Michael Douglas, number 53 from the other side of the field. What speed he has.
Mike Douglas, who had a fumble recovery last week and a 5th round draft choice in his 4th year, was the defensive most valuable player for the Packers a year ago. And the Packers love him. He's the best of a pretty good group of linebackers.
Yes, he is, and he was a pretty good track man. He could triple jump 50 feet, high jump 6'8". That's not too bad for a linebacker.
Or anyone.
Right, or anyone.
2nd and 8 at the 8 now. 2nd and goal. Packers leading 21-10.
Blitz, all-out blitz.
And Evans gets rid of it, and it's over. The penalty marker down. And Ricky Watts got the call from McCoy, I believe. McCoy may be guilty of pass interference, and that'll set the Bears up.
I think it was a good call. Looked like McCoy had his hands all over him before the ball got there.
Interference, number 29 defense in the end zone. First down and a 1.
So that's the 2nd pass interference call that has gone against the Packers. The first one was Whitaker. This one is McCoy. The Bears took advantage for their only touchdown the first time. Byron Braggs, number 73, and Kurt Allerman, number 60, come in the game right now. 1st and goal at the 1. 2 tight ends for the Bears. And once again, Evans can't hear the call.
Well, you know what happens every time a quarterback comes back out. The second time, it's even worse.
In motion, Bosnagel. Matsui, no good. Doesn't make it. 2nd and goal.
In fact, I think he may have lost a yard.
Packers playing it tough defensively here.
Good penetration. Watch the defensive line. They get across and penetrate. Suey has no place to go, and he did lose maybe a half a yard. So the Bears still have a good shot at it. 2nd down and 2.
Terry Jones, who was in on that last play, has been important cog in Green Bay's defense thus far. 2nd and goal. Out of time, in case you're interested, 10 minutes and 15 seconds. So
I formation.
And Waller Payton with Suey blocking. And he doesn't make it. He's out of bounds. It'll be 3rd and goal at the 1-yard line. And John Anderson with superb pursuit from the linebacker spot.
And it's actually going to be almost at the 2, Dick, because of the fact where the official... Now watch 59. It looked like this was going to be a big play. The Bears had the blockers out front. Anderson got tangled up, but he showed plenty of speed to get to the outside, and he forced Payton to go wide, knocked him out almost at the 2-yard line. Good play by the Packer defense. The Bears now have another shot at it. They'll probably take 2 shots at it and go for the touchdown rather than the field goal.
And Armstrong has to be thinking ahead. 2 downs if the Bears don't make it now. Let's see what happens. 3rd and goal at the 2. And now a timeout, I believe.
No, he's saying there's too much noise.
Okay.
And the officials are asking for quiet, and that's pretty hard to do when you have 60,000 fans. Most of them rooting for the other team.
Bears have called a timeout.
Oh, they have called a timeout. I'm sorry.
This is very interesting that the Bears would call a timeout, use one of their precious 3 right here, although the opposite side of the coin is if they don't score now, they may never get another chance.
Well, the problem...
As you trail by 11.
Kurt Alleman, number 60, is in the game. He's the one who likes to take a beat on that back.
In motion is Watts. And Walter Payton is in for the touchdown. Walter Payton, who has 70 rushing touchdowns in his career, gets the score, and Noah Jackson with a big block, and the Bears are back in it.
It was George Cumbie that had the shot at him. 26, Matt Suey leading the way, throws a key block right there, and then Cumbie, 52, just got away from Noah Jackson, but he could not make the tackle. Payton high steps it in there, and that's the way it goes. The Chicago Bears on the board. We have a football game. It's 21-16, could be 21-17.
Walter Payton with his 6th touchdown rushing of the season. He went into this game with 699 yards. The point after by Rovetto is good, so Payton now 89 yards on the afternoon and could be heading for his 2nd 100-yard rushing effort of the season. Playing a superb game, and let's see the Bears get back into this game.
Here is Suey's block on 37. Mark Murphy right there that was able to get Payton around the horn, and then he avoided Cumbie and got in for the touchdown, and the Bears are back in the game. And with the way the scores are going so far today, that 2nd wild card spot is really coming up for grabs. Tampa Bay is losing.
Right.
The Rams losing.
Kickoff to McCoy at the goal line. To the 21. So this is where, as Todd Bell made the tackle, as we get to 9:49, plenty of time, and you look at the Bears drive, this is where these games have always been decided on a fluke play, a break of some kind. So we're going to be looking especially for that, because that's marked a lot of the recent games between these two teams. Keep in mind, this is the 125th game of this series. 1st and 10 at the 22 for Green Bay.
If the Packers ever needed a successful drive, this is the time.
Lofton is number 80 to the right, Jefferson 83 to the left. Ellis and Huckabee are the running backs, and Kaufman the tight end, and play action for Whitehurst. And what a play defensively by Gary Campbell as he came in on Kaufman, and almost as if he had been in the Green Bay huddle, John.
He smelled that screen, and he went right into the middle of it and came very close to getting an interception, and now has put the Packers into a 2nd down long passing situation. Number 59, Gary Campbell, as the Packers go to the air on 1st down, and there's Campbell right in the middle of the screen, and made a heck of a play. That's it, the man from Hawaii.
Well, despite the 21 points for Green Bay, the Bears' defense has been aggressive and hard-hitting the last 2 weeks. 2nd and 18 at the 14. 5-man front, penalty marker down. Ellis going off the left side for very little. Mike Hartenstein makes the stop. And the penalty will be against the Packers. So this is where the Gutty team will come on and rise to the occasion. And Gutty is the description Bart Starr.
number 68.
This is where Bart Starr.
Third down.
Bart Starr said that Whitehurst was a gritty quarterback, and he'll have a chance to prove it. Greg Cook was guilty there.
Yes, he'll have 3rd and 16. John Jefferson, how many passes has he caught as St. Louis leads Buffalo?
Jefferson
Has none.
Pittsburgh romping over Atlanta. 6 defensive backs for the Bears. 3rd and 18 at the 14. Exactly 9 minutes remaining, 4th quarter. Pressure on Whitehurst, going for Lofton, and he can't make it. He was open, double covered, but he had beaten the coverage and just couldn't hold on. So it'll be 4th down as Whitehurst goes off. He is 11 for 30 in the ball game. Bart Starr's got to come up with something, and the Bears could get good field position, John.
And there's 8:55 left in the game, so plenty of time for a well-calculated drive for Chicago.
Stakowicz has had a good day. He has been hot and cold this year, the rookie from Michigan State, but he's doing good today.
And the Bears are going to get good field position, most likely.
Fisher, 6 yards or so below his punt return average on the year, placed him 2nd in the conference before the ball game. Fisher at the 40, his own 40. Doesn't get to midfield. Eric Torkelson alertly played. The Packers have been outstanding covering kicks all year. That was an 8-yard return off a 46-yard punt by Stakowicz. So the Green Bay Packers now have to put the Bears win. They could be 4 and 7, only a game behind.
Right.
So it's a wide open derby in the NFC. 1st and 10 at the 49 for the Bears. What an opportunity they have now. Vince Evans under a lot of pressure, and he is sacked. No, he's not. I can't believe it. He gets away. And Evans is still on his feet and out of bounds at the 44-yard line of Green Bay. I'll tell you, he must have dug a hole.
Unbelievable run by Vince Evans. Some officials would have blown the whistle on this play because they felt that the quarterback was in the grasp of the defenders. But no, Evans stayed right in there, busted a couple of tackles, then showed some speed, got away from Terry Jones. And watch this, there's going to be a miss right here by Mark Lee with a terrible attempt at a tackle. Evans goes out of bounds.
Mark Lee looked weak on that one. 2nd and 5 at the 44. From the end zone replay, it didn't look like he was trapped that badly. Bashnagel, 84, toward the line. And Matt Suey has a 1st down to the 38-yard line before George Cumby makes the tackle. And so the Chicago Bears, who have scored in this 4th quarter on a Walter Payton touchdown, seems to have the impetus on their side with 8 minutes and 15 seconds to go, and an important game for Neil Armstrong and Bart Starr.
And that run by Evans was really the key to it. What a difference of being 2nd and 4 or 2nd and 14 or 15. And that time Suey went and got the 1st down. They're down for 39-yard line.
Roland Harper giving Suey a breather now. Under 8 minutes to play. 1st and 10 at the 38. Evans 11 for 23, 118 yards. Can he add to it? Oh! It's intercepted by Mark Lee. Mark Lee picks it off. And Kenny Marjoram had the ball. It bounced out. And Walter Payton makes the tackle on Mark Lee, who has his 2nd interception of the game.
A break for the Green Bay Packers because the pass was right on the dime, right in Kenny Marjoram's stomach, and the ball bounced out. Mark Lee was Johnny on the spot and intercepted for the interception right there. Seemed like he might not have looked quite in time there as the ball spurted up, and Lee was very alert, took off down the field, and he almost got away there. Great move on Harper, 35 to get away, and finally he's knocked down, but the Green Bay Packers have the ball at the 35.
And Mark Lee, with 2 interceptions in this half, now has 4 on the season to lead by Evans, but that really wasn't his fault.
No, it wasn't.
1st and 10 at the 35 for the Packers, leading 21-17. Ellis trying to get outside, can't do it. A few of the Bears chased him out of bounds, including Al Harris, the last, and slow getting up is Greg Cook.
Well, that was an important play. Ellis went running out of bounds. He knew that he wasn't going to get any yards. He'd been better off just to fall down right there before he goes out of bounds to keep the clock running, but he stopped the clock at 7:40. Final score, Denver 24, Tampa Bay 7. So Tampa Bay is 5 and 6.
Detroit plays Dallas next, and of course Tampa Bay goes against Green Bay next Sunday. The Lions have a chance to help themselves against Dallas. 5-1-5 defense for the Bears. It's 2nd and 12 at the
Blitz.
33. And Harlan Huckabee can't get anywhere. He is down at the 30-yard line. So the Bears with 2 fine defensive plays. Otis Wilson on that one and Gary Fensick as well and Plank. And now it'll be 3rd down and pressure on Whitehurst.
And there's a case where the blitz works against a running play. That time Plank got through there, forced the jam up, and Otis Wilson hit him high. Plank 46 hit him. I should say Otis Wilson hit him low and Plank hit him high, and the blitz worked against the run.
All right, Todd Bell and Jeff Fisher are in now. 6 defensive backs, a 4-1-6 alignment for the Bears at 3rd and 10. They are not blitzing on this play, apparently. And here they come. Whitehurst looking downfield, out of bounds. He was going for James Lofton, but defending on the play were Todd Bell and Reuben Henderson, 2 rookies. Don't forget, most of the country, or most of you will be seeing following this game, the battle between the Dallas Cowboys and the Detroit Lions. And the Cowboys have run off 4 impressive victories against tough foes, and let's see what the Lions could do against them as Sims and Dorsett, the big matchup of great running backs.
We should mention that game won't be here in Green Bay because of the blackout situation. You're seeing the Bears and Packers here at home.
Stokowitz to punt. Fisher, 32-yard line, and gets to the 36, and that's all. So the clock shows 6 minutes and 46 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter of our game. The Green Bay Packers lead the Chicago Bears.
Second half.
Atlanta Giants.
A lot of games that so they're hanging on here now.
Numbers are almost even. Packers by 4, 1st and 10 at the 36. Marjoram in motion. Play action for Vince Evans. And Mike Butler gets to it. Mike Butler gets to Vince Evans. Did they call it an incomplete pass or not?
They called it an incomplete pass. Pretty good job by Evans because he was hit and he still had that presence of mind as he was going down to swing that arm and throw the ball. And so Butler just gets to rough him up. He does not get credit for a sack.
Mike Butler, who started the opening game of his rookie year and has been in there ever since in his 5th season.
Here comes Butler, 77.
2nd and 10 at the 36 for the Bears. Lights have been on here at Lambeau Field, and this time Mike Douglas. Loose ball, and I believe the Bears, let's see, it's way back. Bears recover at the 13-yard line. Keith Van Horn, but they've got 3rd in about a couple of miles now.
It was Michael Douglas, 53, who got through, put the clamps on Evans. The ball got loose. It's Chicago's ball, but I'd hate to have the 3rd down situation they're going to have. Here comes 53, stripped the ball loose. The Packers almost had it. Butler dropped the ball, and the Bears linemen finally fall on the ball. But Chicago will have about a 3rd and 35.
Nickel defense, as you might anticipate for Green Bay. Evans and Douglas, by the way, played together at Los Angeles Community College. And they had a hello, how do you do again right there. 3rd and 33 at the 14. Peyton to the 20. And they'll have to kick it. 5:35 and the clock is running. Here in the 4th quarter, the Packers holding on to a 21-17 lead. And right now, the big play could be Mark Lee's interception of a pass that was in and out of the hands of Kenny Marjoram.
I think you're really right because even though the Packers didn't move the ball when they got it, it changed the whole field position situation.
Parsons will kick. He's been brilliant this afternoon. Mark Lee is back there. And with Ron Cassidy. And it takes a Green Bay bounce and hits a Bear player at the 45-yard line. Hit Roland Harper at the 35. So the Packers not only have the lead, in which the Bears need a touchdown, not a field goal, they got the time on their side and good field position. Well, don't forget, next week, CBS Sports Saturday brings you more great championship boxing action as the WBC Lightweight Championship is at stake. Alexis Arguello, 72-4, makes his 17th consecutive championship appearance and he's fresh from that KO over Boo Boo Mancini. He defends his title against Roberto Elizondo, who's an outstanding body puncher. Be ringside next week, 3:30 Central. First and 10, 46-yard line. Pitch back to Ellis. Option pass. And Ellis's toss is incomplete. And I tell you, he went back about 15 yards to throw that one.
Well, I don't know if I wanted to keep control of the ball, whether I'd ask my running back to throw a pass downfield like that, but that's football. The Bears had an inopportune time. As you look at those gentlemen without their shirts on, number 37, Mark Murphy. If Mark Murphy looks like that, he shouldn't be on the football field. But anyway, the Bears' pass blocking broke down at a very inopportune time. 2 straight sacks there, and that put them in big trouble. Now let's see if the Packers control the ball.
Second and 10 at the 46. By the way, Ellis had connected on a pass to Kaufman earlier in the year, and here's Harlan Huckleby. It gets to the 40-yard line before he's tackled by Jim Osborne, and it'll be now 3rd and 4 for the Packers as the clock runs 4.5 minutes to play, fourth quarter.
Interesting decision coming up for Green Bay. 3rd and 4.5, not necessarily a passing situation. Will they run or will they throw the ball? What's your guess?
Well, not necessarily a running situation.
It's right in between.
That's like saying they'll run or pass. 3rd and 4 at the 40. Huckleby. Second effort brings him close to a first down.
He's got about a yard to go. The Packer punting team is already running on the field.
Yeah, they're not going to take any chances. And they're going to kick it away. Stakowicz will punt. And with 3:44 to go, Fisher, number 24, goes back.
Well, if he doesn't kick it out of bounds, and then it won't be too profitable for him. If he kicks it into the end zone, they're in some trouble. He's got to try and kick it out on the 5 or 10.
Fisher, second in the league, coming in, but his average return is shorter in this game. He's at the 10. Timeouts remaining. The Bears have 2, and the Packers have 3. They get the ball off, and Fisher lets it go in the end zone, and so it really didn't help him to kick the ball, and the crowd lets them know it. They'll bring it out to the 20 on a touchback. Other scores around the league.
Jets 17-6 over New England. The Jets are now 6-4-1. Minnesota still leading New Orleans, but it's a little closer now, 20-10 in the fourth quarter. And the Bears have a chance. First down with 3 minutes, 13 seconds to go. The Packers really didn't play the smartest of football. He just kicked that ball right towards the end zone. I don't know what's going on.
Remember that Evans called a timeout at the 2-yard line before the touchdown because the crowd was yelling, and so the Bears are handicapped a bit there. At the 20, 1st and 10, 3:13 to go. Walter Payton trying to go outside and does. And I think he has a first down, or close to it. Walter Payton is right there. And what an afternoon he's had. He was taken out of the game with the thigh bruise toward the end of the third quarter last Sunday against Kansas City. Did not play the rest of the way. In fact, Dan Neal says, I don't remember the last time we come back and won without Walter Payton in there.
There was a good block by Manuel Sanders to help him get around the horn. He hit Mark Murphy on the play. But I'll have to say that the Packers didn't take the best advantage of the 2 or 3 possessions they've had in the last few minutes.
2nd and 1, Robin Earl and Mike Cobb, dual tight ends. With 3:07 showing on the clock. And Matt Suhey has the first down to the 32-yard line. And while we're on the subject of Walter Payton, he has gone over the 100-yard mark. He now has 106 yards for 28 carries and a touchdown. And that's only the second time this year Payton has gone over 100 yards. First was against San Diego, in the game the Bears won. Bears have won 2 out of 3 against tough teams. Packers have won 2 in a row for the first time since '78. 1st and 10 Bears at the 33. 2:35 remaining, fourth quarter. 21-17, Green Bay. Evans, however, hits Suhey out of the backfield, and he picks up 6.5 yards on the play. George Cumby, the linebacker, makes the tackle with help from Wingo.
Well, the big thing the Packers have to remember is that the Bears must score the touchdown, and the field goal won't do it. So they're going to give them those short ones. They just can't let anybody get behind them and that's going to be the philosophy of the defense. And if that is the philosophy, you got to figure the Bears are going to make it down to the 30 or 40-yard line on shorter passes.
And we are going to have our 2-minute warning before the Bears can get off a play. And when they come back, they will have 2 tight ends in there on a 2nd and 4 for the past personalities and athletes who have competed in the series. And we'd like to thank Lee Remmel of the Packers and Ted Harris of the Chicago Bears for supplying us some of that memorabilia that we hope have added to your enjoyment of this 125th renewal. 2nd and 4 at the 38 for Vince Evans and the Bears. 2 minutes to go, 4th quarter. Can Chicago come back? Evans with time. He looks off, can't find anyone, and now goes to Suey. Suey. Trap. That's it. He's down. Casey Merrill. Evans couldn't find a receiver, and when he found Suey, Suey had nowhere to go.
So the Bears are into a hurry-up situation on a 3rd down.
Tough spot with 3rd and 9. Johnny at the 34 with a minute and a half to go. And Ezra Johnson. Ezra Johnson got Evans, and it's an incomplete pass and 4th down. And I got a question for you. Do you use one of your timeouts there? Because you may not get many chances.
It might have been a good idea just to get themselves regrouped. Ezra Johnson got through there. They didn't have the big, only had a 3-man rush. And all of a sudden, the Packer defensive line has really come alive. 3 men beating 5 men. There's 3 men blocking on 1, Terry Jones. Here comes Ezra Johnson from the backside. He hits Vince Evans, and the Bears now have a 4th down situation. The ball game is right on the line on this play.
They went to the line without calling a timeout on 3rd and 9. They may not even need those 2 timeouts if they don't get a 1st down here. All right, 4th and 9 for the Bears. Evans up the middle, overthrown, and the Packers take over on down. And listen to the crowd. The Packers take over on down. Coming up next, the Dallas Cowboys. Coming in this weekend, tied with the Eagles at 8-2 against the Detroit Lions at 4-6, knowing they have a shot at a possible wild card berth. Dallas, Detroit, Dorsett, Sims coming up next on CBS.
So the Green Bay Packers will be 5-6, winning their 3rd game in a row. It's been a long time since Bart Starr has been able to win 3 games in a row.
And the Packers are going to have to learn to win on the road because they have only 1 more home game after this one. Gary Ellis at the 31-yard line, and the Bears use one of their 2 remaining timeouts with 1:14 showing.
Well, that 3rd down situation was very critical as to whether they should have called a timeout to regroup, because they had 2 timeouts left and it would have put them right down to the last play. And sometimes you have a tendency a team will save timeouts too long, and there was a case, and you were right, they should have regrouped and got themselves situated.
Look at that game. St. Louis over Buffalo 24-0. The Jets now move into 2nd place and are challenging Miami, who were losing. The Jets defeated New England 17-6. Pittsburgh over Atlanta 34-20. So the Jets are now 6-4-1. Buffalo 6-5. And if Miami loses Oakland, it's 7-3. And the Jets are 1 game behind Miami. But right here, Bart Starr has to feel good. Neil Armstrong a bit frustrated. And I think a lot of people will be talking about the failure of the Bears to call a timeout and instead rushing a 3rd and 9. Not to take anything away from the Packers because they have played a marvelous football game today. 2nd and 7 at the 31, 1:14 to go. Bears have 1 timeout remaining. Harlan Huckleby, who's been a star today, has a 1st down at the 20. Huckleby, 3 touchdowns.
I can't believe Huckleby running through that line, carrying that ball in 1 arm. In this kind of a situation, that's unbelievable. Somebody knocked that ball loose.
I said 3. Huckleby has scored 2 touchdowns today. Whitehurst has thrown for 3.
If I were the Packers, excuse me, Dick, if I were the Packers, I wouldn't even bother handing off to anybody now, would you?
Nope. Whitehurst had just hit the deck with 40 seconds to go. 1st down, Packers. Close throughout, not much scoring in the 2nd half. Huckleby still driving. And the Bears may be using their last timeout. The Bears have called a timeout. Well, what a renewal, this rivalry in which the Packers are going to win. The executive producer of NFL football is Harry O'Neill. The senior producer, Charles H. Milton III. Today's game was produced by Jim Silman and directed by Andy Kindle. So the Packers, as Johnny mentioned, will go to 5-6. The Bears at 3-8. Bears will host the Lions next week, while the Packers go to Tampa Bay.
Do you realize that if the New York Giants lose, the Packers will be tied for the second wild card spot?
CBS bringing you the best in football. Delirious fans at Lambeau Field. And this should be the last play of the game, and Whitehurst just keeps it himself. Watch the crowd and the Packers. Look how elated they are as Green Bay beats Chicago. All right. This is Dick Stockton for Johnny Morris saying so long from Lambeau Field, where once again the final score, the Green Bay Packers 21, the Chicago Bears 7.